Welcome to the Bad Feeling Podcast. Chuck and Brian will attempt to entertain and inform you about Star Wars, The Old Republic. They will not succeed at either. In fact, the odds of a successful podcast are 12,367,000 to 1. The Bad Feeling Podcast is not recommended for consumption by Twi'lek, Cathar, Voss, human, cyborg, or any other sentient species. You have been warned.
Greetings and salutations, my fine Old Republic friends. Welcome to the Bad Feeling Podcast.
Welcome!
I am Chuck.
I'm Brian.
And this is that show that that talks about this game that takes up every waking second of our lives.
Yes.
Star Wars: The Old Republic. Oh,
yes.
Boy.
It still does that.
Still. I can't get it into my brain. I don't dream about it as much as I used to, but it's still in my brain all the time.
Well, now I'm just dreaming about Shea Vizsla, you know.
Well, that goes without saying, dude.
So tour after dark.
Hey, good time. What kind of armor you got on tonight, man? That's a nice jetpack you got there, man. I'll tell you what. Oh.
Yeah, you never knew like a metal bikini would would work the way it does.
Hey, whatever it takes, man. You know, I don't judge. I'm okay with that.
Right?
I feel good. I feel good about that.
Me too. And I'm sure the character does too. I have no shame. So everything is fine. Everything is fine on
Nothing
Balmora.
to see here. There's absolutely nothing to see here. Okay, cool.
Right? Well, there is a new Flashpoint coming. So if you caught, there was a live stream, which it's been a couple years of change, but I'm glad there's still Musco and Charles still being the exact same Musco and Charles, and goofy bastards.
What's fun is that, you know, I think you could take a live stream from 3.6.1 and sub that for 6.3.2. You know, like it's the same. Hey, guess what? There's going to be new cartel rewards. There's also going to be a brand new Flashpoint. What about
Hey, man,
this?
new PvP season about to start. More ranked.
Check this out. But we haven't actually given out ranks yet. So
watch your inbox for those rewards.
Yeah, nobody's going to get any rewards. Don't worry about it, man. So it's the same stream that you've been watching for the past, 3 years, 4 years, something like that. So, you know, there is that.
Well, I do appreciate that they're running through the litany of voice actors to interview too. So that's always fun. But yeah, we did hear a lot of the same, but there's some new shit coming. If I don't know what a galactic season is exactly, but
does that even make sense anymore? I mean, really, do we know what a season is?
I don't know.
In the end, what it really is. I mean, I know that you get tokens for it, and now you can buy some shit.
It's a period of time.
I could buy an alternate skin, whatever that means.
Sweet, like some sort of Buffalo Bill sort of scenario. I'd fuck me.
Whatever. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
God damn it!
Great stuff right there.
But do check out the SWTOR live stream. Lots of good stuff in there, and if you follow along on the home version, you'll notice that immediately following the stream, they went and they hosted our buddy Marcus, who's big time Twitch streamer now. Yeah, Mr. Working Class Nerd has gotten some Twitch popularity.
We've never been able to figure that shit out.
No, dude.
I don't know what the hell. Well, dude, that's what happens when I run like a Windows 3.1 machine and try to run this game and Twitch at the same time. It just fuck that. It just doesn't work.
It's not gonna behave.
It's like me in game. It tries really hard, but doesn't really do anything. You know,
just like little legs running. It's like when I used to do the lunch streams out of, and that PC I built out of spare parts I found around the station. Like, here's a power supply. If I can plug this thing in.
In the basement.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, basement Twitch. Then I'd have to turn it off when somebody wanted to actually do work.
And it was like echo, because it was in a basement that's all like concrete wall.
Yeah, it's fucking quality right there. It looks like potato, sounds like potato.
Hey, but dude, come on. That's the way of the world these days, man. Everybody is a streamer, right?
Yeah, that's what people have come to expect.
Wait a minute.
Clearly.
Wait. Except for so are we doing a podcast right now? Wait, what?
I got a microphone in front of me. for the first time in a while, I gotta say.
What's going on? Wait a minute. This isn't our podcast, dude. We haven't done a podcast in like 3 years. What the hell's going on?
Shit, this is supposed to be Working Class Nerds episode 100.
Hey, I'm Marcus.
And I'm Nick.
We are Working Class Nerds.
Cue the intro. That's right. We are Working Class Nerds, the podcast that gives you no information about your favorite information.
Today is Thursday, March 25th, 2021, and you can find this episode 100 podcast on all the podcatchers from around the galaxy. You can also watch me play video games Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays at twitch.tv/MarcusB814. You can find the both of us on Twitter, but mostly me at MarcusB814.
And I am at Nick Vern, that's NickVern. In this week's episode, we're taking a trip down memory lane with great friends of the show, Max and Seema from the Escape Podcast, and of course, AIE. So welcome to the show, both of you, and what have you been up to?
Hey, Nick. Hey, Marcus. Thanks for inviting us, and congratulations on episode 100. That's awesome.
Congratulations, guys. Yeah, that's amazing. Amazing 100 episodes. It's quite a challenge. It's very few podcasts get to that kind of longevity.
What, a month ago?
3.5 years or so.
Oh my gosh.
I think it was The Last Jedi. I really do.
Yeah.
It was The Last Jedi review, and I remember it, and we were so excited.
And nervous.
And nervous. And
way overly prepared. I think I had like paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs of notes, and I was like reading it word for word.
Yeah. And it's just crazy to go from the squeaky chair and the gain at max.
And you could hear every creak in Marcus's house.
You can hear the kids crying. You can hear all that stuff, the creaky chairs, and to today. And it's pretty awesome.
Now it's smooth like butter.
Yep.
Well, it took it to do the intro today. We did it nice because we did it thrice.
Right.
But that's okay. So what have you guys been doing in game, out of game, anything fun?
You want to go first, Seema? That's usually how we do it.
Sure.
I don't think I could go first. That wouldn't make sense in my head. What
Well,
have you been up to?
foremost on my mind right now is Working Class Nerds, because I listened to your podcast where you review The Light of the Republic. I mean, I listened to many podcasts of yours, but this one recently, and I was struck. It was the one that Kitty was on. I was struck by how different your review was than ours, because I think our take on it was like from comparing it to other science fiction and fantasy. But you guys, when you talk about it, it was just so Star Wars. It was just really interesting. And I'm like, oh yeah, I guess I like that book a lot more than I thought I did.
That's a good point.
Yeah, it was just awesome. The things that you saw that completely went, right by me. And yeah, and you had some of the same questions too that we did, like at the end. How did he know that pain and suffering would sever a Jedi from the Force? Things like that. But we don't have to know, because maybe we'll find out later.
I certainly hope we do. But
Yeah.
I can see from a larger, strictly like sci-fi to sci-fi standpoint, I don't think that's a great standalone, like just piece of sci-fi art, if you will. But considering that it's like setting up a larger universe, I think that's acceptable.
Yeah,
That's basically the
I
gist.
really loved all the Star Wars love that came flowing out of that episode. It was really cool. So yeah, right now I'm reading a book unrelated to Star Wars called Axiom's End, written by Lindsay Ellis, who's a YouTuber that has really good content about movies and about storytelling. And I'll have to do my final thoughts on it later. I'm about, 75% of the way through that one. It's a first contact type story.
Interesting.
And it's
What's
very
the name of it again? Axios End?
Axiom's End. And it's very interesting in that it's kind of, in a way, it's kind of old school science fiction. Not that there's a lot of hard science, but there's a lot of speculative fiction, and this alien species that she's designed is very alien. So it's like, it's not like how in Star Wars every alien is just like
humanoid-ish.
A dude with a rubber mask on.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And everyone speaks basic, or if they don't, they speak something that can be translated into basic.
Right.
And I don't want to say any more about the book in case you want to read it, but it's very interesting from that respect. I don't know if I'm going to recommend it yet, because the last 25% might, make or break it. But that's what I'm doing reading Rise. And then I'm looking forward to possibly reading the next book, the YA book from the Light of the Republic. I forget what it's called, but I know you guys have read it. Into the Dark, right?
Into the Dark. I was pointing at the book, Marcus, because you have it on the shelf.
Oh yeah.
Marcus is like, what are you pointing at?
For all of you at home, it's this book right here that I'm pointing to.
Right.
Yeah, we're not live. So it was what I'll say about Into the Dark is it doesn't feel like it's a young adult book at all. Claudia Gray does a really good job of expressing violence without being so dark about it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
And she's such a great author. And what I like is where Light of the Jedi, the first third of the book is, I call it a snooze fest.
I say that's accurate.
Mhm.
It's
Because
extraordinarily
it's
slow.
because they're setting the scene, right?
Yeah.
But Into the Dark, you're in it. You're going right into the dark.
Yeah.
Like immediately. And that personally for me, it was like, okay, so they got the slow stuff out of the way in the first book. Now they're getting into the meat. I'm really looking forward to June 29th when part 2 of Light of the Jedi, I don't know what it's called. Oh, Rising Storm, I think it is.
Yep.
That's when part 2 comes out.
I'm really pumped for that because I want to know more about, of course, Marchion Ro
And Loden.
and Loden Greatstorm.
Loden Greatstorm.
Loden Greatstorm. Yes, I agree.
I Max, did you make a character yet in SWTOR named Max Greatstorm?
No, I did. I did not.
What a great idea.
Yeah.
Max Greystorm.
Greystorm. Right.
Yes.
Yes.
There it is.
Perfect.
You better do that while before anybody hears this and steals it. Just to be
Sounds good. I'll register the domain right now.
Anyway, so Max, what have you been up to?
I have been playing quite a bit of video games. I've been reading some books. I also am a fan of Lindsay Ellis, but I'm not reading that book. I'm reading on paper. I'm reading one of the Vorkosigan series by Lois McMaster Bujold, who is a brilliant writer. And these are older sci-fi books. Some of them have won awards back in the day. On Audible, I'm in the middle of Rhythm of War, which is Brandon Sanderson's latest novel in the Stormlight Archive. It's like 50 hours of audio. It's like
wow,
three days worth of audio. You have to like Brandon Sanderson, and a lot of people don't, because it's a little bit formulaic, but it's kind of that epic series, like Wheel of Time kind of thing. And this is his 4th book, probably out of 9 potentially. And yeah, I still like it. I still felt like it for what it is. I like Brandon Sanderson. I kind of enjoy how formulaic he is. He's like very academic in the way he structures the story and the world building and all of these things. You can learn a lot academically. Sometimes that's not the most exciting for people, but I kind of like that. I've been playing lots of Star Wars. I've been playing World of Warcraft, trying to get my hunter up and ready to go for potentially for some raiding, because I've switched over to the Horde side after leveling up to 200 high level on the Alliance side. I've been playing quite a bit, and you mentioned this on your last podcast 2 weeks ago with your 2 pals. You told them to go play Valheim. I'm continuing to play quite a bit of Valheim on the AIE server that we've got going on, and it's only a handful of us that are still in there playing, and sort of progressing through the limited sort of content that they have. But it's very sandboxy, and it's got an aspect of games that I really get into, and a lot of people don't, but it's building. So I've built, a house for myself. I built a wooden, like Viking longhouse for the guild, and I just finished building last weekend a big keep, stone keep, three-story stone keep now, where we've got a bunch of storage and crafting areas, and I really get into that kind of building. I did that in Dual Universe, building things. I've done that here. I hope we get more MMOs that incorporate that kind of building as a sandboxy activity. That is really fun for me. So that's me.
What I think about that Valheim game that's interesting is there's a bunch of different steps you have to do to unlock a boss. And even if you never want to do a boss, you don't actually have to do the boss. But right. I think it's cool that you have to kill these things, but it doesn't tell you how to do that. And you almost have to figure that out on your own.
The progression, right. So it's pretty sandboxy. The progression is basically as you get some, you dig up some materials out of the ground, and I've got wood and stone, and I make a stone axe. In order to get to mining copper and tin, well, now I've got to put those together, and I can mine some of that, but I can't mine the next metal, which is iron, until I put the top copper and tin together and make bronze. Now I can get to iron, and I can't get to silver until I make things out of iron and get my armor upgrade. So you have to sort of discover a little bit. Now you can certainly look it up in the wikis, but the discovery of the progression that's very natural and sandboxy again is also quite fun there. Yeah.
But it's limited to 10 people on a server, right?
Currently it is limited to 10 people on the server at the same time. You can put send out the IP address of the server to as many people as you want. Only 10 people can get on the server at a time. We've never had more than 10 people on right now. It's in early access. Not a lot of people are playing with it. I think the most we had at a time was about 6 or 7 when we were killing one of the bosses. Nowadays, it's usually only 3 or 4 on a night that people are on there. The fact that it's early access, it's a small thing that people are trying. It's working out. If it was to get big, and now because it blew up for these developers, it's like 6 guys in France who put this thing together. So now that it's huge, and I'm sure that they have lots and lots of money, hopefully they'll be expanding it and scaling it up a bit.
When Minecraft started, wasn't that like one guy? I mean,
yeah,
it can happen
under Mojang, and it was a guy that put it together. Now this is a level of fidelity and complexity more than Minecraft, but if you look at the screenshots, you'll sort of get that sense that it looks a little like 2002 called and wants their graphics back. But yeah. You understand why when you realize that every single part of the environment is just destructible and modifiable, and you can dig holes in the ground, and it was developed by 5 people. You crank the graphics and polygon models back a notch, and you increase the complexity of what you're able to do in the game, and it gets really interesting.
But again, Minecraft, I mean, that changed the game. How many people play Minecraft? And it's 8-bit. Is it 8-bit or 16-bit? 16-bit?
I don't actually know.
It's way beyond that now, but it feels like one of those kind of old 8-bit games. Yeah. It was always a 3D game, just very large, blocks and polygons, right, which made it very easy to render in that way. But yeah, same sort of thing. You scale all that back, and you can do some interesting things and open up, because you've constrained it, you can open up a lot of creativity. And that's what drove that game, the idea of the creativity on top of a little bit of adventure.
And I think too, the world, because of the pandemic this year, I think the world, people have been looking for a game like this that they can just sink their teeth into. I mean, I remember when the pandemic first happened, look what happened with Animal Crossing. People went crazy for it. And that's just another, crafting game.
Life simulator sort of game.
Mm-hmm.
Little bit of its own kind of building, assembling your islands, putting your decorations out, acquiring more of them. Yeah, same sorts of things.
But I think also one of the one of the appeals of a game like Animal Crossing is it's so friendly. And
Yes.
it's like an island of calm inside, even though I know you guys said a lot on your podcast about how everybody didn't have anything to do and all that stuff. But as well as something to do, it's also a place of calm in a world that's just like really chaotic. Everything's changed. Everything's upside down. You don't know where to go to get this. And yeah, I think it was a haven for people.
Yes. Valheim has a little bit of the aspect of survival to it, so it's not as calming a place to live.
Right.
But yeah, Animal Crossing really hit that sweet spot of a nice, happy place that you can just go to. go to your happy place. Well,
I would have been all over Animal Crossing myself if I could have talked myself into buying a Switch, but I couldn't because at the time they were
gone.
Yeah, and if you could find one, it would be like $200 over MSRP, which I just can't do that.
If I could have gotten one at retail, there were multiple times where I was doing a search, and if at the time I could have found one at retail, I would also have gotten it and been playing Animal Crossing, but I didn't.
I think a game that released at basically the same time as Animal Crossing had a lot of success because of like the same phenomenon, but inverse, if you will. It's like people were looking for some calm with Animal Crossing, but people were also looking to vent some frustration with Doom Eternal.
Yes.
It's sold like hotcakes, obviously. And it's an awesome game too, that obviously, but I think those coming out like right as, people are particularly frustrated with lockdowns and things like that. They hit like both sides of the same coin of like emotional venting,
I was really interested too in what your friend said about GTA 5 and the community there. I think it was GTA 5.
Yep. Yeah.
Which is a game I think of is just like speeding around and killing hookers. That's my concept.
Right.
And for there to be
that's all
community in
SEMA
there-
does.
That's all I do. I don't do the missions. I just get in a car and run people over on the sidewalk. Isn't that the whole point of it?
When they started talking about like helping out the newbies and all this stuff, I'm like, what?
There's a community? What do you mean?
Yeah, but I thought that was fascinating.
Yeah.
But also you were pointing to because people were looking for more out of video games right now this year.
Well, and Grand Theft Auto for me, just using that as an example, Grand Theft Auto for me was always you get in the car, you do some missions and you're gone. But now Grand Theft Auto has molded into almost an MMO because you're going into this world where there's other people and you're doing missions just like you're playing Star Wars or Elder Scrolls Online or Valheim, all these games, and they're almost all implementing. It's like they say the MMO genre maybe is dying, but it's really just
spreading out
and making their own ways of an MMO.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're absolutely right.
So Nick.
Yep.
What have you been doing for these past couple weeks and talking to me like 3 times a day today and yesterday in preparation for 100?
Yes. So, of course, like you said, a lot of preparation for episode 100. I feel like it's more emotional preparation. Like we got together last Thursday because we didn't record. So we just prepped our notes, figured out exactly what we wanted to do and things like that. And
we just hung out.
For like, I don't know, 2 hours or something.
Did you drink beer?
No, we did not even drink beer. We had pizza though.
Yeah, we did have pizza.
And we destroyed a whole large pizza.
Yeah, and eating a pizza at like 10 o'clock at night
is terrible.
It's terrible.
Oh my God, I was
the
destroyed
next morning.
That would be bad for me too. I've actually been getting into. I'm starting to get pretty good at making pizza.
Oh, I love homemade pizza.
Yeah, and I've been sort of like I said on the AIE podcast, I've been trying to make the sort of New York style, and the last couple ones I've made have been pretty close to that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And what I heard, what you said on the AIE podcast, because I just listened to it today, and I was playing video games while I was watching this show. You said something like there's a double rise.
Yeah,
that's a thing.
You let it rise. Yeah, there's in a lot of bread making. There's 2 rises.
Okay.
So 2 periods. So like with this one, you let it rise for a couple of hours, and then you do some folding and shaping, and then you put it in the fridge and let it continue to rise for 24 hours.
Oh, I never knew that.
That's like the slow clap for food.
Yeah.
Well,
just
and then
watching
the good thing then is once you do that step, it could actually it can be in there for like a week, so you can make a pizza the next day and another pizza in 3 days, and yeah.
That's interesting.
You like prep for a while. You have this giant batch of awesome dough.
Right, exactly.
That's awesome.
That has its own life in the fridge.
Right.
The most experience I've had with like an offshoot pizza is I grilled a pizza once.
Oh, that's a good.
Oh, yeah.
That's a
and
great
it's
move too.
fantastic.
Oh yeah.
That's good, because what makes a great pizza is the hotter you can get it, and a grill can get really hot.
Right.
Whereas
So-
my oven is only an oven; it only gets so hot.
Right.
Well, guys, I gotta go because now I need to go eat some pizza.
Yeah. Well, see you, Max. Thanks for talking
Well,
about your week.
I think you guys were
This is
talking
on.
about it. I don't know. Yeah, you guys were talking on the AIE podcast, and it was actually today I was listening to it, and I'm driving. And you're like, when the pizza and the cheese goes over the edge, and then it gets baked into the cast iron pan, and my mouth is
Detroit,
I'm like,
yeah. Detroit
like
style
I'm
pizza.
wiping off my face, and I'm calling pizza shops, going, "Do you have the cheese around the cast iron pan?" And they're like, "No, we don't cook it that way." I'm like, "Son of a bitch! Where do I find this pizza?"
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say in the beginning. It's like I've been reading, I've been cooking, and I've been playing games too. Also some WoW. In fact, when we first started, I was finishing up a boss fight in WoW. But yeah, playing mostly WoW and Star Wars: The Old Republic.
Are you ever going
Games.
to? Are you ever going to play a DPS class?
I did DPS on MFN this week.
Wow, I wish I was there for that.
You missed a once in a lifetime experience.
Exactly. Because I'm usually watching her let Max die.
No, Seema never lets me die. Maybe he lets me get close just to
let you
punch
look
up a
over.
little bit.
I mean, it's relaxing to DPS because really nothing you do matters.
Oh, damn!
Shot fired.
Yeah, that's a good
Actually,
one.
I don't really believe that. I believe, especially in Star Wars: The Old Republic, DPS is really critical because there's like in a 4-man group, there's only 2 of you, and in a lot of MMOs, there's more,
Right.
and there's no room to hide in Star Wars: The Old Republic for the DPS. And I mean, the DPS are the ones doing most of the mechanics too. I mean, healers and tanks have to stay out of stuff, but it's DPS that have to run here and click that and do this and do that, and all while they're keeping their rotation going. So I do respect the DPS.
I do.
I
agree
appreciate
with that.
that.
I do agree with that as well because on the Apex Vanguard,
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing the dance, and I just have to make sure I hold threat and don't do anything dumb and just use my cooldown smart. Where the DPS, they need to do this, they need to do this. One guy has to run the battery around and click all these things at the right time. And I'm just walking in a circle around the map going, I don't understand why it's so hard to mess with the battery. Like, why
Right.
it's this fight's easy. Just keep me alive. Let's go. We should have won. But anyway, Seema, would you say you like World of Warcraft better, or do you like SWTOR better?
I have more personal connections in SWTOR. And SWTOR is a little bit more modern in its outlook. And like we were talking about once before too, if that game has a little bit more respect for your time. So as a player, you can drop in and do something and go somewhere fast and do something and do something. Whereas in WoW, it's more the long haul. So you can't drop in and just do something because it's 3 minutes to travel from point A to point B.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So basically, you log in and then go make coffee, and then come back. So, and sometimes I appreciate that. WoW also, but WoW has going for it something that SWTOR doesn't have, which is it has an amazing and colorful array of things to collect, and not just gear, but pets and mounts and toys, and they're all stored and accessible by all your characters. So if you work on a collection for years and years, all your characters have access to it.
Yeah,
That's
there's a ton
a
to
big
collect
plus.
in Star Wars, but for some reason in WoW, it feels much more satisfying to get a thing or collect a thing.
For
Whereas-
me, it's because there's just much more variation. In Star Wars, I know they're trying to keep to a theme, but like every pet kind of looks
Yeah.
same within certain parameters. Yeah. And like I got a pet in WoW today that is like a little monster whose left arm is a toenail. And
Wow.
when you mount up on your mount, the little monster has a little monster mount that he mounts up on too.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah,
That
so
is cool.
it's just a lot. There's like 1,000 little things like that, and that's, that gets the part of me that would have played Animal Crossing. That
Right.
appeals to that part,
Right.
Well, I would imagine it must be a little hard for Star Wars to do stuff like that
Mm-hmm.
because they have to keep to the trend where
Yeah.
Warcraft is its own thing and Blizzard owns the IP and they can say, well, we want to make a pet that has a toenail arm. Let's do it. Where I'm
Right.
sure with Star Wars games, you have to contact EA and then
Gotta
you
do
have to
the
contact
discount double check.
Lucasfilms and then
Yeah.
they have to approve it. 6
They're much
months
more
later, they
limited.
say yes. Where if they get,
And-
the May the 4th Astromech.
And not only that, WoW decided from the beginning that they were going to make pop culture references all the way through. So they're not limited they're not even limited to their own IP.
And that's why The Sims can have Baby Yoda, but we can't.
Right.
Right.
Get me started on that.
That is that's a very sore subject for me.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway,
Back at the ranch.
We could probably play you a few rants on that we've already recorded, so probably don't need to do it again
Right.
rant deflected.
for now.
For now, stay tuned.
Let's see. Where were we? Was I talking about things?
Yeah. So Nick,
I think I was.
so
I
we
don't
prepped
remember.
for the show.
Oh yeah, forever.
Have you played any games?
Yes, I played a little bit of Call of Duty, of course. Not a whole lot. I've been doing a lot of coming home, prepping for the next day, and then just like having my brain be mush and not do anything. But I did do some other stuff. Speaking of work and my brain being mush, that was actually poor wording. There's a cool study I want to talk about regarding stroke recovery. So people who have had a stroke of some kind and have a deficit in one of their upper extremities, so one of their arms. Basically, the gist is you undergo occupational or physical therapy. So like they're working out that affected arm while your brain gets really low levels of basically electrocuted. So that you have these pads on your head.
Interesting.
And I won't bore you with the precise details, but the preliminary studies have found that it's actually more effective than just the occupational therapy by itself or just the shocking. So this is pretty cool. And the neurologist that's leading the study wants me to get certified to do some of the assessments on people also, which would mean more money for me. And he'd be paying for him. Well, the study would be paying for him, but which is always pretty cool. But the backside of that is it's a lot of work. Basically, that one study is like as much back end work for me as the other 12 studies that I'm on. So it's just a lot.
That does sound like a lot.
Yeah, but because there's like obviously a lot of training involved, and I have to learn like a certification that normally takes people like months to learn how to do this assessment. And he's like, "Oh, you can do it in like a week." I was like, "Okay, well, it looks like I'm tabling all my other tasks for the week." But it's exciting and it's good for like my resume and career and things like that. But it's interesting for sure. In terms of games, I wanted to highlight. I don't think I talked about this before, but I played Squad with Al, friend of the pod. He was on last episode, I should say. It's like it's not 100% realistic battle sim, but it's like 80%. It's like 1 or 2 shot death and realistic bullet drop, weather, etc. And you have to actually like supply your forward operating bases and things like that. There's not aircraft. Well, there are helicopters, but there's no like planes and things in it. There's tanks with sort of realistic damage areas and things like if you hit a weak spot on a particular model of tank, it'll like ignite the battery and then actually blow the tank up. Whereas if you hit like the front of it or something, it'll your missile will just deflect off. Things like that are pretty realistic. But you also have to have people running supply lines in trucks to like fare you ammo and things like that, which is kind of cool. So you can spawn in, but you only have like one magazine.
I would be terrible at this game.
Oh, I am awful at it, but it's actually really like interesting. And then also I think it's like 30, probably 64 versus 64, on really, really, really big maps. It's probably the maps are probably about the size of like a Warzone map in Call of Duty, roughly, like the giant island. And you want to go and take like certain sections of the map, obviously, and there's tickets for spawn, kind of like in Battlefield where you can run out of tickets.
Sure.
So as you take objectives, you get more tickets, so you get more respawns and stuff. But you can set up like these little, they call them habs. I don't remember what they actually stand for, but it basically your squad can go get orders from the commander, who's a real person, a player. And then you have squad leaders that get orders from the commander to, hey, go take this spot or whatever. And then your squad of like 8 or 10 people goes and sets up a little mini base that you can then spawn in from and go attack your objectives. It's really interesting and complicated, but I'm kind of looking forward to exploring that more as like a stiff side game, if you will. But
well, I feel like that's a game that if you invest a little bit of time to learn, you might really like it, and that might become the main game.
Right, exactly.
Because it's more tactical, and like once you know, anytime you play a game and you're terrible at it, which I'm terrible at every game I play, but anytime like you play it enough, you start to get
like
good enough to fake it.
Yeah.
And then you start to like it more.
I think there's like an interesting threshold of like starting a game and knowing what you want to do, but like not knowing how to do it quite yet, if that makes sense.
It does.
So like once you cross that threshold, then you can actually start to enjoy it. Then I think that's when you actually know if you like a game or not. Yeah. I was just starting to get past that. We're like, okay, I know like, hey, I got to go build this thing, or like the squad leader's going to look for this or whatever. Or I know how to like roughly how to not get shot right away. But which is also interesting because it's like, you know, if a sniper shoots you in the torso, like you're immediately dead. So you have to like call for a medic and things like that. And like the med packs are not unlimited. Like you get 2, and then if you don't have ammo to respawn with them, like you're just respawning with 1 magazine in your rifle, and that's it. So it's an interesting like dynamic to have that much involved than just like a Call of Duty where it's run and shoot and that's it.
It's called Nightmare Mechanics.
Yeah, it's basically Call of Duty Nightmare Mechanics. So it's interesting. In terms of other nerdy media that I've been consuming, I watched the first episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
What'd you think of it?
It was like really straightforwardly like Captain America action movie. We're gonna go get the bad guys kind of thing, if that makes sense.
Yep.
WandaVision was obviously a completely unique show, just generally speaking, but I appreciated that it had a little bit more depth to it, you know, by comparison. But this was so like on the nose superhero movie that it was like it was almost boring, kind of.
Right. The only thing that I thought of, and my sister and I watched this one together, was that there's a little bit interest now for the Winter Soldier and his story, what's going on with him. But you're right. The Falcon was just really amazing choreography, but your basic Marvel movie that you expect.
Yeah, if it was basically the only really interest was, like you said, like the action sequences. But outside of that, like the plot line is. The Winter Soldier plotline is obviously interesting, but we kind of saw that already in Civil War and the Winter Soldier. It's like sort of the same themes we've already seen, which I don't mind, but it's the first episode. I got to give the series a chance, but I'm kind of not expecting a whole lot of plot depth to this one, whereas I was definitely with WandaVision. But,
well, not as you said, not only plot depth, but it was something unique. Even unique in the way it was produced and the way they ran the series. And it's rare that these days you get a show that's really unique like that. Right. So it was exciting and fun to see it evolve.
Right.
Now, not that I'm not going to watch Winter Soldier and not, I love a comic book movie regardless. I'll have fun with it.
Right.
But yeah, it's not going to rise to that level of here's something out there that you've not experienced yet.
Right. And I think it's helpful, at least for me personally, to like mitigate my expectations for something like this. Like I went into it knowing, hey, this is just going to be like an action movie sort of.
Yeah.
Don't expect like, you know, substantially complicated plot and make you think. Just like sit back and enjoy the action sequences essentially. But you got to like mitigate the expectations. Speaking of mitigating expectations, I was not expecting anything from the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League, of which I've only watched half. And I actually really enjoyed it so far. I hate the 4:3 aspect ratio. That's driving me
It's
absolutely
4:3.
crazy. Yeah, it's like
Ah.
watching superheroes through a empty paper towel roll.
Is that so he could cut the scenes to what he
that-
wanted and give us
evidently-
more flexibility?
That was his artistic vision, quote unquote. I guess he just wanted it to be 4:3, which that makes no sense to me. Like, you're not gaining anything from shooting it in 4:3.
Well, if
Unless-
you can I would think maybe he could reframe shots that he wouldn't have been able to because there's not enough sort of
Footage
film
or
or
should be.
scenery on the sides to reframe what he wanted. So it could have been just an excuse that, hey,
Yeah,
the only
or-
way I'm going to get to reframe these shots is
Yeah,
to cut some of the.
or maybe like a time constraint or something, like for the CGI budget, you can fill in, it's less like screen to fill things in with or something like that.
Yeah, maybe.
But go ahead, Marcus.
I was going to say about this, I haven't seen the first episode yet. I like to give it a little bit because they're only half an hour long episodes.
Well, this one's almost an hour. It was like 45 to 50.
Okay, yeah.
But it might
so-
be the first episode.
yeah.
If they're half hour, then yeah.
I think the first episode with WandaVision was 42 minutes.
yeah, that's true.
You know what I
And they
mean?
went
So
less.
I like to give it a couple episodes to really catch up because
Mhm.
if I'm not playing video games or doing something like that, I want to get literally, I want my butt cheeks to get sunk into the couch, and I'm not going to get up, put my feet up, and just watch a show. Like, I think I binged WandaVision in 2 nights,
yeah,
and it was awesome. The thing is, what I like about what they're doing right now is almost like kind of like what they're going to do with the High Republic, is they're getting people accustomed to these characters for the next Avengers movie. So in the comics, you have your original Avengers, the original Avenger movies.
right,
But now all those Avengers, I'm going to doing my quotation marks, have retired.
right.
So now they have to get people to love the new characters.
Right.
If they just came out with a new Avengers movie with all the new characters, people would be like, it's not as good as the other. But if they have the WandaVision, the Falcon, Winter Soldier, the next Spider-Man, this one, that one,
Yeah.
now people are going to love those characters, and now they throw them in a movie, instant classic, and they're going
Right.
to love it.
And that's the right way to do that, is to slowly build it over time. I almost think the High Republic, it did that for the setting, but I feel like they went a bad direction in just like throwing a million characters in.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
Instead of like making a small book about Loden Greatstorm himself, and then have a story about, I don't know, the kids. You see, even their names blend together.
Martian
What's her
Rowe.
name?
Yeah,
I mean, this. Well, I think that was the only character that had any kind of story in this book was Martian.
right.
Everybody else, they just like threw him at the stairs. Here's Bell. Here's the new Padawan. Here's 5 minutes for him. Here's the awesome Jedi. Here's
Oh, and
5
by the
minutes
way,
for her.
he's a master now.
Yeah.
Right,
I mean,
right.
he's a knight
Padawan,
now. I
Padawan.
mean.
He can barely put himself together as Padawan. Now he's master.
Right.
What?
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 Who?
I mean,
how?
knight. I mean, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And do
You
I
learned
even
how to
care?
not fall.
Yeah. He barely.
Barely learned how to not fall. Oh, congratulations. That's all you needed.
Have you guys read the comic books yet?
No.
No.
I read
I've
the
seen-
first
I've
episode. That's
seen
it.
some pieces of it, but yeah.
All right, so you should, because I feel like they're doing a better job of explaining characters, and they're really focusing on characters, and you get a little bit more out of the comic books, or I do, or I
Right.
feel that way. I think they have a hard task ahead of them with the books, because it is only like book form right now. I think that over time they're going to be able to flesh out this stuff, and I feel like anytime you have a first book, you were talking about the book that has like 50 hours, that makes me think of like the God of War,
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones book, where it took an hour and a half for one of the characters to eat an apple in the book.
Yeah.
They were, and
Describing all the details and what they were thinking. and stuff.
correct.
Yeah.
And I think more so for Light of the Jedi, it was more the setting of setting the settings, the setting of the galaxy or whatever, then rather the character plot. and really at the end, that's where they actually gave a little bit of
Like, oh hey, this is an interesting character.
right.
Yeah.
Like, watch this guy. So I'm hoping in the next sets you get that.
Right.
But for back to the Marvel thing, I'm excited to watch it. I'll let a couple episodes come out because I feel like the shows, they're not really spoiling it as much.
Online.
Yeah,
Well, they're also. I mean, in WandaVision, there wasn't really anything to spoil per se.
that show is awesome.
Yeah.
But I mean, there was things to discover.
Yeah.
I don't think there's much to spoil in Winter Soldier.
No,
There's like
definitely not. I don't think so.
You know, I
flies around and
Right.
shoots things.
yes. You know, where WandaVision, I don't know, for the first 3 episodes, friends of mine were told me how boring they were. I was like, what do you mean? I laughed hysterically for 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Because that was my childhood. My grandma watching I Love Lucy.
Right.
And I'm watching it and I'm instantly thinking of my grandma watching this weird sitcom from the 1950s
Right.
and laughing at some of the goofiness of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, there was that, and then just a tiny little like hook in there, and you'd go, "Wait! Did you see that? What was that? What's going on there?"
Right.
And that's what sent the whole internet a buzz. Each episode would be like,
The little nuggets.
what was with the beekeeper?
Right.
I don't bees. It's got to be
Right.
something with the bees. It's always the
The
bees.
bees, not the bees.
And I think that that show is just great. It was something different. They took a risk and they succeeded.
Yeah.
Where they are going back to the traditional action movie with Winter Soldier.
Which isn't again, which isn't
you
bad.
need that too.
It's
I
fun.
understand. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
because
I'm with you guys. So my favorite character in WandaVision was the one played by Randall Park, the FBI agent.
Oh yes.
What was his name there?
Oh, Jimmy Woo.
Jimmy
yeah.
Woo. Yes, what a great
Yes.
name.
and
And yeah, I mean, I don't know why. I just loved him. He was not
Yeah.
really convincing in any way, but I still loved him.
and
He
there
just
was
seemed like a guy. I think. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Marcus. He just seemed like Jimmy Woo. Just seems like I can envision myself being Jimmy Woo. You're like, I'm just trying to do my job. Like,
Yeah.
what is all this crap? I was just a missing person, and I stumbled into all this weird Avengers crap. Like, let me just do the right thing here. You know?
but now I feel, you know, because now what if he's the next Nick Fury in the new Avengers movie?
Yeah, I thought that was a really interesting comment. I hadn't thought about that at all.
Because I don't think Samuel L's going to be back as Nick Fury.
He could.
Well, he could, or they move on to the next guy and Jimmy Woo is it. And there's something about the card flip he does.
Yeah, it's from. It's the same one Ant-Man does.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's where he learned it.
Yes,
I mean,
exactly. That's what I mean. So like the way they're going to tie it all together makes me excited. And yeah, anyway, sorry. I'm excited.
Of course.
And I want the Star Wars content, you know, if they honestly, yes, I want another Star Wars trilogy, but I wouldn't be upset if we didn't get one for a long time if they continue with this TV show series and hitting it out of the park.
I've said it a million times. I prefer TV series for sure. Series.
Yeah.
To movies anyway.
Yeah.
You just get way more screen time and it lets you flesh out characters and plot lines a lot better, I think, and lets you like get attached to characters. But
yeah, interesting.
I had one little nugget before we hear about Marcus's week. I think I just want to make the point about the Zack Snyder cut. My dad made a great point about director's cuts in general, that he would pay extra to either have the option to see the director's cut, the 4 hours long one, either in theaters, or if you have the theatrical cut, you know, for the general public, that's an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever, and then stream the director's cut that's 4 hours, 5 hours, whatever you want to make it for people at home who want to see that. And my dad made a great point. I feel the same way. I would pay for that because every movie that I've seen that's a director's cut, I greatly, greatly prefer. Like, I'll give you an example. I have all the Lord of the Rings movies director's cuts, which are like 4 and change hours a piece. And those are much better. I think the story's much better because you can, for the same reason I like TV shows, I like the director's cuts. You get more screen time for all these characters and you can flesh out plot lines a lot more and go into more detail. And I understand why you can't have that in the
time
theater.
in the Shire and wallow around. Yeah.
Right.
I think
And
you're right.
you actually understand at least a lot better in terms of Lord of the Rings and the Shire. Like, oh, this is a really, you get that sense of like Hobbit life and why going on this grand militaristic adventure is such a like so hard on the hobbits, because their whole life is like la la la, eat, drink, be merry, and this is it. And now all these other, well, you guys have seen the movies, I don't need to go into the whole detail, but you get what I'm trying to say. Director's cuts are awesome. I wish they did them more often and they were more readily available, but and I think that's indicative in this movie, because you flesh out all these characters way better, especially because a lot of them, I should say, didn't have their own standalone movies to give you that backstory. So, Marcus, how's it going?
I'm good.
You good over there?
Yeah, I'm actually laughing because, okay, I shouldn't really say this here because it's kind of embarrassing.
Okay.
But have you ever seen the movie Hitch?
Yes.
It's a Will Smith baby movie.
Yeah,
Okay.
when he's like teaching what's his name? Paul Blart Mall Cop to how to hit on women.
I can't believe I'm doing this. This is the G Fuel talking. Oh my God.
Okay.
It's one of my favorite movies. Okay.
That's fine. I get
That is
that.
fine.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Okay.
And so you're talking about the director's cut
Yeah.
of a movie. I want to see the director's cut of Hitch.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That would be good. Yeah.
Is it-
And
did
I
they
want
re-
to see the director's cut of Groundhog Day.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
that would be great.
But that's what I mean. So this whole time we're talking about that, and I'm thinking to myself, is there a movie that I would actually want to see the director's cut of other than the Star Wars movies?
Yeah.
And I'm like, the first movie, it was this whole time I'm smiling to myself because I'm
Hitch.
just thinking about Hitch. And like, I want to hear about Albert Brenneman more.
Oh my God.
Yes, I can't believe I'm going there. But anyways, so I'm going to go sentimental first.
Of course.
3.5 years ago, Nick and I were sitting at Christmas, or it was actually Thanksgiving.
Yep.
And we were eating turkey, and I was like, Nick, you want to do a podcast? And he says, yeah, let's do it. And I was like, really? Why not? Well, what else do I have to do? And I remember his mom, we call her Mama Mo. She goes, Nick, you have school.
Of course.
Yeah.
Takes everything literal always.
Yeah, and so we started this thing, and well, like we've said earlier in the show, from the squeaky chair to today, and where the comments that we get on a weekly basis via Discord or just a text message from some of the friends that we have that we've made through these years, talking about the podcast or referencing something. We have our friend Matt that lives in North Adams, Massachusetts, which is like about an hour and something away. And he's one of our closest friends in the whole world. We don't get to see him a lot, but whenever we mention his name, we'll get the call the next day. Dude, you said my name. And
I got another shout out. I can't believe it.
yeah, and it's so humbling to hear everybody. So first and foremost, Nick, thank you, because this doesn't happen without you. And wherever this goes in the future, like these 3 years have been awesome. And not only are we family, like real family, like you're like my brother, and now like we have this, and where this show has gone from day one to today is an incredible thing. So thanks.
Thanks to you too. We wouldn't have the show without you, man. You make it possible. Like I said the other day, you run the show. I'm just the spice.
Oh, you want to? Let's do
You're
some
the
spice.
spice.
Spicy.
Okay.
Well, okay. So if I was Spice, would I be? No, I'm not Ginger Spice. I would say. What was the other one?
If you want to be this Spice, the Spice Girls. That's what you're talking about.
yeah.
Posh Spice. I don't even know all of them.
That would be like Bougie Spice. But anyway, so Bougie Spice. I would be
not a Spice Girl.
Yeah. No, it's definitely not. So anyway, and thank you to every single person that has listened to the show for the last 3 years. Thank you. And I do want to shout out Brian and Chuck, because thank you guys. You guys came out of the
Podcast retirement
to do that for us. So thank you. Anyway, so now to me. Not first and foremost, holy shit. Thank you. My community for my stream channel, you guys are freaking amazing. And thank you. And just thank you to everybody. There's too many people to thank, but thank you guys for always supporting me on my channel, because holy shit, this channel's grown and you guys are awesome. And thank you. Speaking of the channel, Saturday,
Yep.
April 24th. We're doing a 12-hour stream. It's my 1-year stream anniversary. We're doing every Star Wars: The Old Republic operation in 12 hours and story mode.
Wow.
Um,
That's intense.
Yep. So if you are interested in doing it, and if you want to run 1 or you want to run 2 or you want to run 2 bosses, please let me know, because I'm going to need a list of fill-ins to help me achieve this ridiculous goal.
Yeah, you got to average a little over 1 an hour, right?
Well, you could, so shout out to Dent,
Yeah.
friend of the show.
Dent.
If Dent's the main tank, he can finish any op in story mode in like 40 minutes because he just runs
Yeah.
straight ahead.
Yeah, he
He
can.
does not. It's like, do not pass go. Do not collect $200. He's just running laps around the map. So maybe we'll have to pull him in for that. But anyway, so then, so Tuesday, Wednesday this week, we had full nights on the hard mode Apex Vanguard. The first night on Tuesday, we got him to 4% and we had it down. We died. Wednesday, we came back and so there's the last move that the boss does is called last ditch effort.
Okay.
There's 2 things you can't do during that part of the fight.
Yeah.
And we did it twice.
Oh, that's
And we were ahead by like 3. Like, so he has a bar of 99%. Like his stacks are 99 his stacks can never match what his health is at.
okay.
And we were up by 5%.
Yeah.
So we would have won the fight. The 2 mechanics we screwed up: you cannot have the lights on during last ditch effort, wipes the group.
Okay.
It's okay. We try it again. We get back there. The second thing is during last ditch effort, the tank, me,
Yep.
you can't be further away than 10 meters from the boss. So if you're standing in poo, you have to stand in the poo and take the poo during the cast of last ditch effort, or you wipe the group.
Okay.
I wiped the group.
So you're too far away.
And we came close a couple more times, but we didn't quite get it. So 1 more week. And we've been working on that boss, I would say 7 weeks.
That's a long
Tough
time.
one.
Yeah. It's really interesting when you talk to people and tell people about progression and what it takes. Sometimes if 1 week you get the boss to 35% and the next week you got to 33, you progressed. That's a success.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or you get to the next phase of the fight.
And sometimes you have to go backwards. Sometimes
Right.
you get to like 10,
I was just gonna say
10%, and then you have to change your strat to get the rest of the way, and you go back to 30% for 2 weeks. Yeah.
Yes, we had to do that 2 weeks ago. So we were doing we were going around in a circle around the full map in a circle,
Mhm.
but we changed that to the half moon strategy, and it works so much better, and we progressed even more. Personally,
We use the 3 wolf moon strategy. I think that has to work a little bit better.
well, the boss you're working on, you just need 5 DPS, and you guys got it.
Oh yeah, well that's a different level. It's still vet mode, but it's a different level.
I don't know.
No, this is a
Cyberark
Matt.
fight is tough.
This is a Matt Pusevich special. So I would be cursing his name, yelling it in the background every time you wipe.
Yeah. You know what the hardest part of this game is versus Call of Duties or any of the other games that I've played is the camera. The camera doesn't do well when you have to back up to a wall.
Right. It's
That's-
not like
this-
that in Call of Duty.
No.
Well, it's first person, obviously.
Yeah, it's first person, but you
like-
never.
So
like
it's
the-
always like that, in other words.
Yes. Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's not. Yeah, so it's always like that. But I don't know. I never have trouble in any other game
Like visualizing your character.
visualizing your character and visualizing what's around.
Well,
Where
like, God of War is a third person game. And
Yeah.
I've never had trouble with the camera there.
Right.
Granted, the fights are dramatically more simple, but
I don't know.
and smaller in scale and things like that.
But then speaking of sci-fi, I started listening to I listen to podcasts at work,
Mhm.
and there's 2 of them. One is called Dust, and it's a really cool sci-fi story. It's almost like a
Oh, yeah.
episodic.
I've seen that. Yeah.
It's an episodic TV show or audio book, but it's spread out over 10 or 11 episodes, multiple seasons.
Mhm.
So I finished that. I binged it, and like I didn't listen to anything else. And I just started this other one called the Liberty Podcast, and it takes place in this place called Atrium. But then they have like this underground area that's called the Fringe, and it's wild. And there's this whole story about like these agents that go into this place, and it's all run by gangs. It almost reminds me of like
Coruscant.
no, well, the under levels of Coruscant, but with like the division gangs.
Oh, I see.
Like
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
the trash can gang, or we're the this or that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's pretty much it. And just one last thing, shout out to the Chimeri. Congratulations on your new team, Guardians of the Order. They're a group of streamers that only stream Star Wars content.
That's cool.
It's really cool, and they're starting this team from the ground up. So really shout out to those guys because that's awesome. In SOTOR news, so we had a live stream this past week, last Thursday. And they announced some stuff, and there's some controversial stuff, some expected stuff. They named the game update 6.3 The Dark Descent, which in my opinion means that this is like we're descending into the dark, and basically this is the buildup of the stories to come. That's the way I hear it. Would you guys agree?
I definitely think it's a build-up for stories to come. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the Dark Descent might be also just the scenery, the setting, because what we're going into is the ruins of the Jedi.
Right. And if you try to descend to the Jedi ruins right now, you rapidly gets really dark and you die.
Yeah, well, that's right away. But yeah, no, I think that might be part of it too. Why is that place all broken down, and what's going on there, and why is that of interest to Malgus and that kind of thing too? Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting.
Sure. So just a quick overview. It's called Secrets of the Enclave, which it's on what O planet is it?
It's
Osis? No.
no, it's on
No.
Dantooine.
Onderon.
Dantooine.
It's, yeah, no,
I was being funny.
Yes, it's
All right.
it's a D, which is sort of like an O.
Yes.
It's just it has a dent in it.
Yeah.
It's an O with a dent.
So it's called Secrets of the Enclave. I'm guessing you saw it in like a 2-second teaser of Malgus's lightsaber lighting up. So clearly we're going to find out what Malgus has been up to.
I hope so.
Oh, sure.
Right. What I wanted to ask you guys is, do you guys like story being tied to a flashpoint? Or would you rather like your class, I'm doing a quotation again, like a classic story mission?
I think it would be difficult to tell all parts of a story only having it in, you walk over to a place and you talk to a person, because part of the story is you get into an epic battle and you're there and you've got a dual Malgus, and you can't skip that and just have a cutscene that says, oh, so I heard you dueled Malgus, and what? Well, I guess I did. Do I not get to see that? Do I not get to play that part of the story?
But Marcus,
I think all of Star Wars is.
Marcus said normal questing. He didn't say all cutscenes.
Yeah.
But I think. No, I mean, I think some of it in Flashpoints, because they have solo modes in Star Wars. I mean, this is just me. Because they have solo modes, I think it's okay to have sort of bigger battles and make that part of it.
Oh yeah, I guess I
Flashpoints.
don't really get what the difference is, because you could have just as big a battle. Like in the original class stories, they all had a huge battle at the end of the last chapter in Corellia. So
I guess let me rephrase the question.
if you're doing a solo mode anyway,
right, would you prefer that the Corellia? Would you rather a planet to? Because it takes about, if you just do the class story on Corellia, it takes about the same time as a Flashpoint, right? So would you rather them do a Flashpoint where it's instance, or would you rather it be on an open planet, even if we reuse the planet and they just add different sections for the cutscenes?
Well, I guess, I mean, when I'm talking about that part was instanced. So I guess I don't understand really what you're going for because.
Oh, yeah, it is instance because you go into your own story area.
Yeah. I guess a flashpoint is sort of packaged up so that it can be repeatable and you can do it again and again and again and again. Maybe that's the main difference. I
kind of get what you're saying, though. The first time they added in Scum and Villainy is on Dantooine. No, Scum and what planet is?
It's on
well, Darvanis.
Darvanis.
No,
That's Darvanis. So the first time they added Darvanis to the game, it was only in the operation. You couldn't get to Darvanis as a planet. It was later added in chapters where you actually could go visit it. I didn't like that. Could we go and walk around the moon of Duxon where the Duxon operation is? We can't currently. You only get to see it in the operation. So I do prefer that, being able to visit these places and explore the planet separately from the story
That's
content.
a good point. Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah. Well,
Manon, we have a little bit, but why don't we like the whole planet of Manon? I would like that.
Well, I guess maybe that's a better way to look at it. Would you prefer a flashpoint where it's the whole thing is instance, or give you a planet, or go back to Corellia and you actually run the streets and they just unlock a different building that you have to go in, where you can still be on a planet?
Probably some of both. What do you think?
I like the episodic version. I don't like to be forced to do an entire quest in one sitting, in my opinion. Maybe sometimes I don't have
which is
an hour.
which to you?
Oh, so the flashpoint is you can't save your progress, right? So when you click enter flashpoint, you're going to be tied up for the next hour.
Right.
Right?
Sure.
Where if I was on Corellia as an example, I can go to point A and go talk to Max the Gray, and there's gonna be a little cutscene, and then, oh shit, I got a phone call or I gotta go do something, X out of the game, and my progress is saved to there.
Mm-hmm.
So I do like that aspect of it.
Yeah.
Versus being, knowing that you have to be locked into this next 1 hour.
Yeah,
That's
sometimes I don't want to. Sometimes I don't even want to hit that launch button because I'm like, what am I getting into? I don't know if I have time.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then they announced Rank Season 14 is going to start at the beginning of Game Update 6.3. And then the big one was they announced Galactic Seasons. So, Nick, I am highlighting this.
Okay.
Can you read that?
I sure can. So, Galactic Seasons is a new system being added to Star Wars: The Old Republic, similar to a battle pass in other games. This new system will be available for both free-to-play and subscribers at no additional cost, with subscribers having an additional reward track to gain cosmetic rewards from. In addition, you will gain tokens, which you can spend at a vendor to buy previously retired items. It's interesting.
What do you think? Nick, you reading that and being a Call of Duty player with the Battle Pass or Seasons, what do you think of when you hear that?
Well, so when Call of Duty does that, they do have weapons locked behind the Battle Pass, which is a little annoying. You can unlock... I'll give you an example, right? So they're not really pay to win sort of thing, but like it's pay to unlock this a lot faster with a lot less effort. I'll give you an example. Like one weapon might be unlocked at Battle Pass 15, which would be like, call it 3 or 4 hours worth of work. Whereas if you buy the Battle Pass, you get the first, which is like $20 for, I don't know, 3 months or something like that of the season. And you automatically unlock the first 20 levels of Battle Pass and get that right away. So like you have a 4 hour of gameplay jump on people in Call of Duty, which is not that big of a deal, but it is a little sort of microtransaction-y, maybe not too bad, but
little sketch.
Yeah, a little sketch. And then the rest of the levels, sus. It's definitely sus.
Sus, yeah.
It's always red. Red's always sus. and then the rest of the levels, so I said that gun was level 15 unlock, but then the rest of them were all just cosmetic things. They're skins for guns, they're skins for your character, or stickers or whatever. So seeing that in SWTOR here, that they said it's going to be all cosmetic rewards, I like that. I think that's totally fine, especially if you have this sort of not paywall, but I'll call it pay curtain, if you will. It's fluid, where like the subscribers can get stuff faster, so to speak, versus like the free to play folks. Granted, I know it's an MMO, so like everybody's basically a subscriber that plays a substantial amount of time, kind of, sorta. I think that's like largely fair to say, but I'm worried about the thing that had the little like Metal Gear Solid exclamation point wing alert, is the previously retired items are going to be locked behind these tokens. So I want to know what those are. Are those like gear pieces, or those things?
No,
that you
so
can use in game?
Years ago when they were doing the Knights of the Fallen Empire, there was a subscriber rewards that you only earned via being a subscriber back then.
Yep.
And one is the HK55 jetpack, which is basically a jetpack mount.
Yeah.
And it hasn't been available since. So basically they're going to allow that to be in the season, the vendor so you can earn it, which I don't mind that.
Yeah.
I like when they bring back some of this stuff. I would be upset if they brought out like ranked PvP.
That's what I was
rewards,
thinking of initially.
or like Nightmare Operations
rewards
mounts,
or something.
right? Like that would be a no-go for me, but like stuff like that, I want everybody to be able to get the stuff in the game.
Right.
But something you said, Nick, and I'm going to ask Max and Seema this is, when you said like you can buy the battle pass, let's say for Call of Duty, it's $10 to buy in.
Sure.
You buy the season pass, it's $10. You're at level 0 or level 1.
Yeah.
If you pay an extra $20, that unlocks the first 20 levels of the battle pass.
Yeah.
You get, what's a good gun name? Let's make one up.
Call of Duty special gun.
Okay, special gun.
Yeah, the SG.
Okay, the SG. It's a special gun. So me and you both buy the battle pass at the same time.
Yeah.
I don't have nearly as much time to play games as you do.
Right.
So I'm like, well, I'm going to buy the thing. I'm going to get the thing that I want.
The SG.
The SG right now, because I don't have time to play the game.
Right.
When me and you are playing tonight, you're like, whoa, you got the SG already. Yeah. How'd you get it? I bought my way through.
Yeah.
Would you be upset? Would you be jealous? Or would you just be whatever?
I'm kind of whatever about it, because most of the guns are largely balanced. Like usually the new battle pass guns are like at the top of their class, if you will, but it's like by, a 2% or something, or 5% or nothing like substantial. And usually if stuff is like broken, it's not. So like, it's a little like, come on, you're kind of cheating the system, but I don't know, maybe I'm just used to like this type of mechanic now.
Right.
Or because like they had a similar thing in Siege where like you could buy a new operator, or you can play a bunch of hours and unlock them.
Right.
It didn't sound like here, though, that you would be able to skip ahead of where anyone else is, only that you would be able to catch up.
No, they do have a skip ahead. No, they have
a head start, essentially.
Yeah.
But I thought it was to catch up, not to.
I thought that too, but there is a. Let me see if I can find the blog post.
It's in. I think it's in the notes.
Yeah.
Somewhere. Well, anyway, so the big question mark right now is there's a companion you can unlock, Nick. So call that the SG of SWTOR.
Okay.
Actually, Max and Seema, right away, what is your first thought when you hear that? There's going to be an option to, the SG of SWTOR is a companion.
Yeah.
You can buy and skip ahead to earn the companion right away. What does that make you upset?
No.
No, I mean, not me. I mean, I see maybe it could make other people upset, but I don't.
So, I think part of my deal is I've been playing MMOs for a long time. And, what was special to me 10 years ago isn't special to me now. And I
Yeah.
don't feel like I have to be the only one that has it for me to enjoy the item. So when they made, for instance, when they made the HK51 chapter available on the cartel market, I thought, good. I'm glad that my friends get to play it that didn't get to play through it the first time. Not
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, I got that as a reward and it's mine and nobody else should have it.
Yeah,
Right.
I did the thing at the time that's not fair. I'm also have evolved to the point, again, playing every MMO, and especially right now continuing, where I just know there's stuff I'm not going to get, and maybe it's going to be some of the coolest stuff in the game, and I'm not going to get it, and I'm fine with that. I would rather play everything and not pay $1 million in real world money, because and just deal with it. And there's so many fun things and good things and things that I can do. I'm fine with that. So I don't know. The thing that concerns me more about this whole system is I will want to participate, right? I'm going to want to participate, and I don't care about buying. I'm not going to buy my way into it, but I don't want to have the participation feel like a job. And if I feel like, unless I log in and do my half hour, 40 minutes in SWTOR every day, I'm like missing out and not participating.
Yep.
And then it's a job, and that bothers me, and that's going to make me angry at the system. Maybe I'll still do it, but I'm not going to like it. I'm not going to like that.
I mean, and you asked me about WoW versus SWTOR. One of the things about WoW is that feeling is very strong in WoW, that if you miss a day or a week or a month, you're going to be behind. And so sometimes you think, oh, I'm going to go do this thing in WoW. I'm not really feeling it, but I don't want to get behind. And SWTOR really doesn't have much of that. So
No, not right now.
Yeah.
Except the daily login rewards.
Yeah, but
even that, you don't,
yeah,
I mean,
Right.
you don't lose anything because
right. You can, it'll just take longer to get there. Yeah.
You just pause for a day, where this season's going to end. And if you get to the end of the season and you haven't done X, now in theory, the season may come back in 18 months or 2 years. But if you're going to get to the end of the season, if you haven't completed the things in the season, then you lose. I don't like that.
Right. I am very much in favor of this. And that's because I'm looking at this as a business decision, in the sense of, I can play Star Wars The Old Republic 3 nights a week. And I'm not saying that I can't complete the battle pass in those 3 days a week over the course of the 5-month span of a season. The way I look at it is, what if real life gets me and I can't, but I really want it? And so what? I buy the thing just so I can unlock the companion because I want it before it's gone. I don't, if I do that, fine. But if I find that, at my 3 days a week over the course of 5 months will unlock it, I'm not going to pay for it. And if somebody doesn't have the time to do it, who am I to say, and you want to spend the money, because that only helps this game last longer down the road.
Sure. And I don't begrudge that part of it. Yeah.
Yeah. The people who want to do free to play and preferred, this is financing them. So they should like it.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the other thing, is if you're a free to play player and you want to just buy into the battle pass because you want the cool companion, guess what? They just got you that you don't pay a subscription, but you just paid. I'm doing my imaginary $20 currency, $20 to the game to get the currency, to get the companion. The game won. So I personally am all for it, because I feel like everybody should have an opportunity to get something. And if you don't want to spend if you have the time, grind it out. If you don't, well, then buy your way in. And it's not going to bother me if Nick has the companion, on day one, and I don't, that's not going to bother me.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, they did say that a season they're looking at it to be about 5 months. But what I'm hoping for is that then there's like a month or 2 months before the next season starts. And then everybody, can catch up if they want to.
Yeah.
What's Call of
So
Duties and Apex Legends?
I
Here's-
think like 3 months or so.
No, I'm saying the break in between 2 weeks.
I don't think there is a break at all.
Oh,
You go from one season right into the next one.
okay.
Are you talking about in Call of Duty?
I
Yeah.
believe so.
Okay. So, or in that case, then if it goes right from one to the other, which I could see that too, that the content of season 5 can be done in like 3.5 months.
That makes sense. I was the point I was gonna say that sort of piggybacks off that. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Real quick,
Go for it.
basically the biggest gripe with this type of system is not necessarily like people paying to get the cool stuff. It's how big of a difference in time of a time sink or effort is it to not have to pay for it, right? Like if it's taking you, somebody can pay $10 for something that's otherwise going to take 20 or 30 hours of work in game to do for free is kind of preposterous. Whereas like if it's, more manageable, or it can also take you 3.5 months of sort of regularly expected play time, that's reasonable for if the season's 5 months or something. Does that kind of make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, the how I look at this is if we're gonna pay, okay, if I'm gonna buy into the battle pass and at the end of the track of the battle pass, you get this companion which has a level 50 influence, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think buying with credits should get that level 50 influence, but I'm okay with you buying enough to get the companion. But if you really want to get that level 50 part of the companion, like max level companion, then you have to grind.
Why do you make that distinction?
Well, I feel like that's when you really cross the threshold of pay to win. Because now if you have a level 50 companion versus a level 1 companion, that level 50 companion can actually earn you credits in game by crafting.
I mean, buying stuff off the cartel market can earn you credits in game.
A lot more.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, good point. You just changed my mind, Seema.
Okay.
Delta. Mine
Here's
changed.
here's the sentence about the jump ahead part. It says, jump ahead with cartel coins. As soon as the Galactic season starts, players will be able to jump ahead in their progression by skipping reward levels with cartel coins. This is a fixed cost per skip, meaning the cost for a player to skip their first reward level is the same cost as them skipping their 10th reward level. This is a valuable option for players who want to gain an edge on their progression or anticipate being away from the game for a few days.
So it is skip ahead. It's
Mhm.
not catch up.
I know, I thought the same, but then when I heard people complaining about it, I went back and reread.
Well, that sounds weird to me.
Yeah, that is a little bit. That does sound weird to me too. That's a little bit over the line for me, but in the end, it's pixels.
Right. Well, I
That's
mean,
a great
that's
point.
also part of it. I would be doing it to be participating and to have done it. I don't really care about the rewards. I mean, the companion, Elephant Man Face, I'll get him and he'll sit in my. I've got enough 50 companions on every character that I need 50 companions. I will get Elephant Man Face. He will sit in my list of 50 companions that I have right now, and I'll never pull him out. So I don't really care.
And I think I'm perfectly okay with people doing their own calculus on it too. Like,
Yeah.
my
Yeah. Maybe people do.
if it's going to cost me $20 to get this item or 20 hours, the $20 means much less to me than the 20 hours, or I'll have fun during those 20 hours, so I don't want to spend $10. And then every version of that in between.
Right. And that is a great point where if we're doing mandatory fun night and we're earning these Galactic seasons levels, just doing the fun stuff we're doing, I won't need to spend the money.
Right.
But if you do something, you play the game for a month and you feel like, man, I've only gained 3 levels and it's been a month and there's 4 more months, then you feel like, oh, I have to spend the money because the way I play the game isn't going to get me there. I can understand, well, that is going to be,
Right.
frustrating.
And that's what that's kind of the last thing I said about it is if I can get there playing the things I like to do, then I'm happy. But I don't, if the priority, they call it priority objective, there's a daily one and a weekly one. If I log in and it's to win the weekly PvP, you do the weekly PvP quest or weekly GSF, then I'm out basically, because I'm not going to do that in order to get an XP boost potion or whatever. It's like that's not going to motivate me to do that. Like even weapons on fire.
Well,
I don't know.
I know.
don't do ranked. That even that didn't get me to do ranked.
Right. Right.
Yeah. We play a lot. If the amount that we play and the things that we do don't get us to the limit, that may end up being frustrating for me, because I'm not going to give up something else. I'm not going to give up, Winter Soldier Night with my my fam. I'm not going to give up playing other games or doing other things or doing the podcast, because I feel like I now need to do this thing to participate.
Yes. Yeah, that's a great point, because I feel like I dedicate an appropriate, someone might argue with me on that in my my real life friends, an appropriate amount of time to Star Wars: The Old Republic each week. It doesn't need to be more for me to be happy. I'm happy with the amount I do right now. Right. And I feel flexible, like I can do it whenever. And I have some linchpins, like I like to do MFN, I like to do our ops night, and those happen at a particular time, but around that I can play whenever I want to, and that's a big plus.
And then, so just to finish it, this Game Update 6.3 live stream up, they announced that at the end of this Battle Pass, we're going to be getting 2 apartment-style strongholds. They're going to be based on the fleet. One's going to be at the Valken Space on... Is that the imp side? No, that's the
Valken Space Dock.
Yeah.
Is Republic side, I believe.
And the Carrick Station is the imp side. Or vice versa.
Vice versa.
Yeah. But so we're going to be getting a new stronghold, which, as everybody knows, if you listen to the show, I'm not a crazy stronghold guy. I do like the smaller strongholds. Like Nar Shaddaa has been my home forever.
Mine too.
Because I feel like it's convenient. You land, you have the nice size room where you can put whatever you need right outside. You use 2 rooms and you're happy. Where I kind of like this apartment style because it's not overwhelming. If you go to like Yavin or Alderaan, that's overwhelming for me.
Yeah, it is.
And I'm not taking it away from anybody who does that and like loves it, but I don't even go, or even Rishi. Like, how do you even decorate all that?
So I've been wanting an apartment size stronghold for a while, but where I wanted it is I wanted it to be on Corellia overlooking the zoo, so that I could use it to get to Lucky fast. The fact that they're putting it, the fact that they're putting it on the fleet is kind of cool in some ways, but it doesn't give us any extra travel option, because we can already get to the fleet whenever we want to.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
I personally wanted it to be on Zakul, just because I feel like being in that city. I understand, like I'm going from Nar Shaddaa to Zakul, but I felt like that would have been awesome. Or even if they gave you a stronghold where the Eternal Throne was and you're just like looking off into space, that would have been a really cool one too.
Yeah.
For me.
I don't know
where I wanted it.
I don't know where Max would want, because he's got no clear idea on that clearly.
Yeah. I'm still drafting my designs, and I will present I'll drive down to Austin to show them my Mech-Sha stronghold. Cyberpunk Mech-Sha stronghold, looking out into space and the force field out the asteroid, containers. Think of like those, like the container stacks in Ready Player One, but like cyberpunk, and that would be the best.
That sounds very cool.
So, but with Galactic Seasons, here's kind of my progressions. Like when they first announced that we were going to be able to buy the ability to hop on our speeders while we were moving, I was completely unimpressed. I'm like, oh, that's dumb. And then when I got it, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. I love it. I will never live without it. And, that's actually...
Every other MMO sucks that doesn't have it.
Right, yeah. Exactly. And then when they announced login rewards, I'm like, oh, that's stupid. I'm not going to like that. And now that it's in there, I'm kind of digging it. Like like I know that you don't get a cool thing every day, but that every once in a while you do get a cool thing, and it's like, oh, that's cool. So I'm kind of not into Galactic Seasons, but I'm willing to be wrong and surprised, and maybe I'll get into it. I'm like, oh, this is brilliant.
Sure.
And I do agree with you about the login rewards, but I was almost like the 180 of that in the sense of I was excited they're doing it, because the one thing about this game is when you first start in this game, you're kind of stuck. There's not a really great tutorial to get you through. And that's why, our guild is awesome, because, we have our mandatory fun nights and stuff to be able to help people, or our Discord is very active. So if you ask a question, somebody in the guild will always answer you. For me, that's why I like it. And that's what I like about the reward system. Like when you first start playing the game, free to play, and you log in the second day and you get a minor XP boost, you're like, sweet, I'm using that right away.
Yes.
Or a social token, or a 5,000 credit chip. You're like, or 3,000, that might repair your gear or buy you an augment to start.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
And for the beginners, I think the login system is the best thing they've done. Now, and when we were taking over, what was the last planet we took over? Balmora? No. What was the last planet we just...
What was it? Because it was such a big deal, too. Was it Balmora?
We only talked about it a lot on the show, too.
I know.
Yeah.
I don't
remember. It took over my life for like a week.
Exactly. But going, because I can't remember it right now, but what I'm saying is we conquered that planet, and one of those login rewards where you got an instant conquest win. Zyos, that's what it was.
Yes.
And you got the instant credit and conquest. So you put that one token on one toon and you hit conquest using that token. That helped, and everybody in the guild saved theirs. All of a sudden you went from 100,000 points to 200,000 because everybody used that token.
Yep, that was useful
for sure. So
I like getting the little social points too. I send them. I'm one of my new characters and just click.
Right.
And then I don't have to actually be social.
I want that in real life.
Right.
Yes. Thank you
for inviting me out to drinks. I will give you this token, and now you will have goodwill towards me. And now I'm going to go home and play video games.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of that,
in AIE news.
So AIE is the Greater Gaming Guild, and we're going to talk just a little bit about it because Max and Seema are here, and it's our 100th episode, and I still play video games the way I do because of AIE, personally.
Yep.
And
me too.
Yep, absolutely. And I've tried games that I never thought I would try because of AIE. And just in the SOTOR division, we have 5 operation teams that are running right now. We have our mandatory fun nights, which can one of you guys explain what that is?
Go ahead, Seema.
So, mandatory fun night, the tagline on that is attendance is not mandatory, but the fun is. And the idea is we get together and do stuff as a group where there's no judgment, there's no calling out, there's no toxicity. It's just we get together. Sometimes we do an operations, in which case there are no gear requirements, but you do have to be level 70, and that's because the game requires that. But sometimes we just run around on planets and kill things while we talk about movies in Discord. So it's a fun way to spend a couple hours on a Tuesday night. And I've become really addicted to it. So I'm pretty much there every Tuesday night.
Yeah. Yeah. As are we all. So say we all.
So say we all.
And then as the SOTOR group has grown, now we've taken over Fridays. And what happens once a month on Fridays, Nick?
Oh, it's mega. That's the monthly epic guild activity.
So Nick is the best at that.
Yes. I wait for it every episode. So something that's happening in the background, we'll have all the details coming probably on the next Escape podcast. It'll be all revealed, but we're going to have a set schedule coming on Friday nights. So you're going to know the first week, the second week, the third week, or the fourth week of each month will be a set thing. And the fourth thing we're going to be adding on Fridays is I'm going to start hosting a hard mode training night to teach players how to do mechanics and harder content in the game, to maybe give them a taste of what it's like to fight. Oh, what's the first boss in Terror from Beyond? Not the
Writhing
jealous
horror.
male. Yeah, the writhing horror. Maybe somebody's never, if nobody's done that, you have to meet a DPS requirement. One person has to stand in this flower patch. The tanks need to know when to tank swap in order to be successful. And, the boss may not jump out in the same exact location every time. There's different mechanics that you don't see in like story mode. And it's going to be really great to be able to teach people how to do that. Plus, we're going to have our mega, and then we have our achievement night and our master mode flashpoint. And really, it's for you guys listening, because it's really hard, because every Friday somebody says, what are we doing again this Friday?
It's Mega, the monthly Epic Guild activity.
Nick.
We'll sell you the whole seat, but you'll only need the edge.
Mega.
On Friday. It's Mega.
Except for not this Friday, some other Friday.
Yeah. We're skipping tomorrow, but that's all.
So,
if all this sounds fun to you, go to aie-guild.org, jump in the Discord, and ask for a guild invite, whether or not you play Star Wars The Old Republic or any of the other games that we play. We would love to have you.
Nick, where is the Discord link?
So, if you go to aie-guild.org, you'll see the main body of the website. In the upper right-hand corner, you'll see the little purple Discord logo. Give that a click, and it'll give you the link to the AIE Discord.
So an hour and 40 minutes in, Nick, I know you have to use the bathroom.
Yep, my bladder is basically exploding, so we'll be right back.
Jeez, Nick, hurry up. We're trying to finish this podcast.
And we're back. So today we're discussing what it's like to podcast for an entire 100 episodes in our case, or in Max and Zima's case, 374.
I feel so small when you say that.
Yeah.
Like, it's like they're like Jedi Master Yoda, and we're
like
Grogu.
Right.
You shouldn't
we're
feel
50,
small.
but-
You should feel sane.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
Well, for me, you come up with an idea, and I want to ask you guys, how did Escape Podcast start? How'd that even happen?
You mean like why were we doing a podcast in the first place?
Yeah, like how did it even
or-
come
or
to
the
be
na-
that
or
you
the
two
name?
connected to
Oh.
make a show?
So, you want me to tell it, Max?
Yeah, and then I'll correct you and tell you.
Yes,
the real
because we
reason.
tell it a little differently. So there was a period in time early in the game when Max and I were on the same ops team, and I noticed that if we, after the ops team, if people sort of logged out, that Max and I would end up talking like ad infinitum sometimes. And at the same time, Max was involved in a podcast called
Cantina Band.
Band. And he was like the most interesting and entertaining person on the podcast. And that podcast didn't last very long. And so I went to Max one time and I said, let's, and I was thinking, I know there's a lot of people who play video games that are not toxic and don't spew hate on general all the time, but how do you connect up with those people? And so I wanted to do a podcast, and my original idea was it'd be like, we would just get on and talk about our experiences playing and see if we could attract people that resonated with, and then we would just have more people to play with. So in my case, it was a pretty self-serving goal. And when I brought it up to Max, he said, okay. And then the next week he's like, all right, I have it all set up. And by original idea, I thought we'd get together, talk for maybe like 20 minutes. When Max tells it, he says we were originally going to make it 40 minutes. But in my mind, it was not going to be that big of a deal, 20 minutes. But we have never done anything for just 20 minutes.
No.
Never.
I think our shortest have been about 40 minutes, 45 minutes. And our longest was probably with Daniel Steed. And that one went about 90 minutes, but nothing really longer than that. But yeah, no, that's pretty much the origin. So I had been on Cantina Band. That was one of the podcasts that had started pre-launch. It was big at the time. Brian Brushwood was on it. A couple other people. Brian was on the last like 1 or 2 episodes that around when I joined them. And yeah, and it sort of petered out. It was launch though. It was that weird time at launch where everybody thought this is going to be the next WoW. There's going to be, 15 million people playing Star Wars: The Old Republic. And then the population, dropped off because it was, you have a big surge at launch. And once it started dropping off, people realized, oh, well, this, I'm not going to be a millionaire, podcasting. So I'm not going to do it. As Seema said, and it's just spot on, I was interested in supporting AIE, supporting what we did in the guild, finding other cool people to play with. And it seemed like a good opportunity to sort of get the word out there on really about what we think, who we are, and what we like to have fun doing. And it just sort of worked. And then we had momentum. I think Seema and I, both of our personalities are sort of like that, where once something's kind of working and the ball is rolling,
Right.
it just keeps going, and it would be weird to stop. I'm an endurance runner, and I get a kick out of not stopping things.
I don't know at this point what would have to happen for us to stop.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I mean, at the most, I think it would just morph and change.
Yeah.
But the big, like right now with the 10-year anniversary looming, like 9 months from now, but looming in our scope, it's like tomorrow. Even though it's 8 months from now. With that looming, we certainly have the momentum, and we really want to get to that with the build up and the follow through, and that should be really fun. So that's a good summary.
For me, I would say, would you guys think you would continue the show or switch it to a different game when this is over? Or would you say when this game sunsets, that would be the end?
I think it'll depend. It'll probably depend on what happens in 2022 with the game and sort of like where things go then. I think, and Seema might have her own opinion. I'll probably be involved with Star Wars: The Old Republic until it sunsets. It's just sort of been, it's a thing, as I will be with WoW, and as I was with WildStar, but will I only will we only be doing SWTOR Escape podcast? I don't know. It could expand, and I could see that being a possibility. One of the ideas was, in AIE, we play all the games. Maybe someday we'll talk about more, or maybe we'll talk about them all. Who knows?
Right.
So that it could morph.
Well, I remember.
What do you think?
Well, yeah, I like I said, I don't know what would have to happen for us to wake up one day and say, oh, okay, let's stop. So I see it, like Max said, is morphing into something else more than ever stopping.
Yeah, never stop, not stopping. That's
Yeah.
that's our motto.
We could enlarge, like, that's, I like to talk about books and I like to talk about other nerdy things. I probably will never be like Max where I play all the games because I get too invested. So like right now, like I bought Norman's Night Out. Marcus.
Oh, yes. Nick Arafino's game.
Yes.
Yeah. I haven't played it yet because when I sit down to play, like when I have my playtime, I think, oh, what progress do I want to make in one of my games I'm already playing?
That's Marcus's problem too.
Yep.
All the time.
That is definitely my problem. Can I fix that problem for you, Seema? Buy it. I don't know if you use it. If you're an Android or an iPhone user.
Android.
Okay. Buy it on the Google store. It's like
That's
$3.
That's what I should do. You're right.
And that's
a great idea.
Yes, that's how I played the game. So they have it on Steam and stuff, but for me, it was the time sync of, okay, I've got 15 minutes and I'm just sitting here. I'm not tired from work, but I'll just play Norman's Night In. And I found I got the most enjoyment out of it by doing it on my phone, playing it on my phone.
Yeah, in the bathroom, doing various, bodily functions, or like waiting at your favorite coffee shop, like for your coffee to come out. Norman's saying
because it saves.
Right.
That's what I liked. Is it so if you clear one area, it auto saves you. So then as soon as you start playing it again,
you're right in the same.
Right in the same spot.
Right.
You could just close the app and it picks up right where you left off. That is what I like.
Yeah.
Where you don't feel obligated to, you must reach the checkpoint in order to save.
Right.
That's why I think that's why I like Star Wars so much, because I can do that. I can go do a quest and just leave my character there. And when I turn it back on, he's standing right there again, or she.
Yeah.
I would say for podcasting for us, the biggest hurdle for us through this whole thing has been audio.
Yeah, audio for sure. Microphones and recording software, and like just trying to get the audio presentable, consistently presentable, I should say.
Well, you learn so much, and I'm sure you guys have had the same issues, maybe not. But for us, it was, okay, we don't have a lot of money to invest into this thing.
Right.
So you buy one microphone.
Yeah.
And we're sitting across from each other.
It was a Blue Yeti.
A Blue Yeti, which is a great microphone.
Right.
But not for two people to be in a room together podcasting.
Right.
Or
maybe it's fine if you're in like
a
studio. Yeah, but not when you're sitting it on a
plastic
folding table in the middle of a all wood panel house with hardwood floors and echoey everything and
kid toys
and kid toys and 1950s air ducts that squeak and rattle, and we're sitting on metal folding chairs.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean. But that's what got us through. And then, okay, we did it for a little while. And what's the next thing we're going to do?
All right, let's upgrade our audio, or
let's buy another Blue Yeti.
Right.
Terrible idea. That microphone is not meant for two people to be in the same room together.
Yeah, because then both microphones pick it up and they're not quite synced up, and there's an echo always, and
it's a disaster.
Yep, 100%.
Did you guys ever have audio issues?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
We've expanded the equipment that we use. I started with virtual audio cable. I've always done multi-track recording, and that throws a whole other level of complexity into it. So I always have 3 tracks, one for sort of game and desktop and drop-in sounds, a second for SEMA for the most part, but also any guests that come in, and a third for my voice. In order to get that without a mixer, which has a USB DAC, digital audio console, that takes in all 3 tracks, you can do that with some software tricks around these virtual audio cables. But the complexity of like all of these like layers, anytime you start adding more layers, you can get 1% or 2% better quality for like an order of magnitude more complexity, and things that can break. And that's sort of been the story. I feel like my setup is pretty solid right now, but it's also quite expensive. And I do some of this for work. So some of this is equipment that sort of like work has paid for the kinds of things I do. But
you've been able to offset the cost part of them.
Exactly. Otherwise I wouldn't have been able to or wanted to do this. And so now my setup is pretty ridiculous, and I would not recommend. In fact, I teach other people at work how to do this kind of recording. And I have this big table that says, here's what I have, and here's why it's ridiculous, and this is why you should not get this, and here's what you should get instead.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
When we were at PAX, you remember?
Yeah.
We went to the Audio Technica booth because we were going to buy Shure mics. And Shure is the undisputed champion of microphones, right?
Yeah.
And we had this long conversation with the Audio Technica rep, and he sold us. He's like, our mic does this, and he gave us these technical specs, but he's like, look you're going to spend $30 less a mic, and you're going to get the same, if not just better quality
Yeah.
than the same level of the Shure mic. Unless you're going to spend $400 on the Shure SM7B,
Right.
you're not getting the quality that you're expecting.
Right.
By this mic. And we've had this now for,
2 years.
2 years.
and change.
And these mics are
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, these are awesome.
You
And
sound
we-
fantastic. Yeah.
And for us, and then
The
we
biggest,
want,
the biggest difference, I think, in the microphones was realizing that there's, we were going into this completely like audio equipment noobs. So
Yeah.
there's dynamic versus
Cardio.
condenser
Yeah.
mics or something like
Mhm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have the Yeti's a condenser mic, I think. Whatever
Yes.
version it is, I think these are dynamics, the ones that we have now. Basically, picking up things in like a large room, the Yeti, or picking up things just right in front of the mic. And that's what you need if you have two people, at least for our setup. That's what we needed to sit across the table from each other and not pick up each other on our respective mics, on the opposite mic, I mean. So having that, and obviously these are good, nice quality ones. And then Marcus went ahead and got a mixer too.
And we switched to the XLR cables via instead of the USB, so I can control our voices a little bit better.
Yeah.
I haven't figured out how to make the third channel on my mixer into my computer so I can do what you're doing, Max, with the real mixer. I haven't figured that part out yet. Eventually I'll get there. But I feel like, okay, so we got our audio stuff figured out. It only took years to figure
Yeah,
that
probably
out.
more than a year. Yeah.
Then
But
it was, go ahead.
but and this is for anybody else out there that's thinking about podcasting or thinking about doing it. Your podcast was still amazing, and you launched a podcast and it was great and people liked it and it built an audience. And what we're talking about here is the trap that you personally will get into, but that's not what. You don't need to figure this stuff out to start a podcast. And this is really not the hard part. There's
Right.
a lot to learn and you can get a better mic and you can upgrade your equipment. The hard part is, can we be consistent? All the sort of the other things I know that you're going to get to too. But so like you guys, and it just, you were good people talking about fun things, having fun with it and being consistent. That's hard for a lot of people. And,
That's a good point.
And you could have $1 million worth of equipment, and if you're not having fun and you're not doing something you like and that your audience likes, it's not worth it.
No, and I agree. And speaking of that, like the setup and everything, it's for me now, I find that getting I'm trying to think of the right way to say it. Getting our sound right was more of a quality thing for us.
Yeah.
Right. So like
Yeah.
it's absolutely what you said. But the biggest one for us was getting the consistency. I used to say to you guys, I remember it like, guys, you guys are recording on Thursday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern. How do you guys even do it? Because I remember I would finish rating or whatever I would be doing at 11 o'clock at night. And I'm like,
Whoops.
my head is like spinning, and 11:15, I get the notification, Escape Podcast is live. And I'm like,
But
oh my
that's,
God.
I mean, that's why we did it, because
Yeah.
no other hour of the day could we aim for the consistency.
Right. But it works for you guys. Just like when Nick and I started this, I said, Nick, every week or every 2 weeks. And Nick was like, let's do it every 2 weeks. We can always make that work.
Yeah, there's no excuse.
Right.
Every week can get hairy quickly
Mm-hmm.
to do that and like try to stick to it, and then you ended up getting 3 in a row and
Or
then burnt out quickly. Yeah, every 2 weeks it's like, okay, this is literally, it's twice a month. Like you can make that work. You know what I mean? That's reasonable enough to where it's not interfering with like school for me at the time or work for Marcus or work for me now or whatever it is, real life things. Every 2 weeks is like completely reasonable to set aside 3 hours or 4 hours in an evening.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it turns that way. The other issue is guests.
Yes, and content generally.
I mean, learning how to put a guest on your show get their audio,
Yeah. That's a
record
whole
it.
nother
'Cause,
issue.
you know, we found this awesome software called Zencaster like 3 years in.
Yeah, like
Prior
we just
to,
started using that.
We used to use Audacity. We would have to teach somebody how to use Audacity to record their sound,
Yep.
then stop it at the exact same time,
Oh god.
teach them how to download it to their computer, send us the file via Dropbox, Gmail, whatever.
Yeah, Google Drive, something
And
like
then,
that.
God forbid they
Screwed it up.
I mean,
their
we went
audio
through that.
girls. Yes.
Yeah.
And learning that this Zencaster, this is the greatest software ever for us. Everybody's track gets saved
I mean, automatically.
automatically. It's synced perfectly. We download 3 individual tracks. We load it into Audacity now,
Which
Nick-
we use to edit it. Yeah.
Yeah, Nick works his magic, and poof, we have a podcast. Where, you know, I would say that was a huge hurdle.
Yeah.
And the whole time you're podcasting, you're worried that what if they never click the record button?
Yeah.
You know, poor Sith Lord Brit. We recorded our longest podcast ever, which was like 2 hours and 40 minutes
Yeah.
with Sith Lord Brit. And her Audacity failed 18 minutes into the podcast.
But she had it like behind
Remember that.
another window. So like I think she had the show notes up in front
Yes.
of the Audacity
Right.
window, so the pop-up from Audacity didn't show up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
it was,
remember that. That's
Yeah.
rough.
yes.
Yeah.
But those are those little things. And then, you know, I remember, okay, I joined AIE because of your podcast. I remember working at my Uncle Joe's house. I was doing garage door PVC trim. I remember it was a Saturday.
Wow.
I remember it like it was yesterday. This was the moment that my life, like I became, like I lost myself for a while, and like I became me again when I found AIE. And I remember it. And Max said, it was the end of the show, and I don't remember what the content was. And he said, Jana's operations team is looking for a player. We play on the Imperial side, no experience needed. And we play on the Jedi Covenant server. And I said, well, I want to do operations. And I'm on Jedi Covenant. And I must have rewound that like 4 times because I'm really an idiot. I don't save anything on my phone. I handwrite it. So I was like, okay, how do I find this? And I wrote it down. And then I would,
Probably on a piece of wood if I had or PVC.
yeah, it was definitely on a piece of wood.
Yeah.
And
not paper.
no.
mind you.
And as soon as I got home, I figured out how to find that location.
He took the block of wood back inside.
And I somehow, some way I joined, and the rest is history. But I remember like your old intro music. Oh, that was so good. You guys got to bring it back for an episode. Like start the show with that again. I forget how it went. It was like a melody, but it was like, I don't know. It was so good.
You're not a good beatboxer, huh?
No, I'm definitely not. And I don't want to sing right now. But the intro music almost defines your show, right?
Oh yeah, we went through multiple iterations of intro music.
Yeah. How many iterations have you guys gone through?
2.
Maybe a little bit more when we added video, because we.
Oh yeah.
So we've only had the format's kind of the same. I mean, there's been minor tweaks to the format. There's been modifications to the intro music and sort of how we set up a little bit here and there. But then we didn't start with video, and we didn't start live. So when we added live, and then we added the video, and then a couple times the overlay and the video and the visuals have changed. And some equipment changes have made minor tweaks too. But I would say the video was a bigger transition in some ways, and going live as well. So maybe like 3 or 4 morphs if you include like the video and the live parts.
But we didn't really change the music, or did we? For those?
I think we only changed the music once. In fact, I'm
Yeah.
trying to
that's
find
what
our original
that's
music,
why I
which I know
said
is around
2.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's only been around. Yeah, I know I've got it somewhere because I never get rid of anything. Ever,
Right, and
anywhere.
For us, like we never changed our outro because I'll never forget it. we
It was
were
our first episode.
it was our first episode, and my wife walked through the door and was like, "What are you guys talking about in here?"
and
And
I'm
Nick
like,
looked,
that's it.
yes, that's it.
And it is
and
perfect.
and it came on the show, and like it's just like that. And that's like something for me that can't be changed, right?
Yeah.
But for the intro, I forget, what did we start with? We started something from Ben Sound.
Yeah. It was like an epic, like Viking-y
Yes.
sort of Game of Thrones
Yes.
intro knockoff.
And
type
then
of
Nick
sound.
was like, enough of this shit. We need a real intro. And Nick started going on this rant. And I would get messages
Of,
with like
songs.
snippets. And I remember it like yesterday because it was, what was it? Like because they didn't want anybody to steal it. In the middle of this track, it would go Pond 5.
Yeah, that was the Pond5.com with
I'm
royalty
like,
free.
what the hell
music.
is this? Yeah.
Like a watermark.
Yeah, exactly. Like
It's an audio watermark. Yeah.
Right. And Nick, I'll never forget it. He sent me like 1,000 explanation points and was like, dude, this is the one. And I listened to it and I was like, yeah, it's all right. Oh, whatever. And Nick's like, dude, I love it. I'm buying it right now. I was like, are you sure? And he's like, already purchased. We've got it. And I was like, okay, we've got a new intro song.
And that's our current
and
intro
I didn't
song.
have a say in it, and that's okay. Nick loves this thing.
Like, I'm putting my foot down. This is the song.
This is it.
Yeah.
You know, but that's how you do it. And the big one for me is if you want to start a podcast, just do it. But just set, like we've all said, set a schedule.
Make sure it's realistic. Like, if you think, oh, I can do once a week, like, can you do once a week every week for years? Like,
Mhm.
Yeah,
maybe that's not realistic.
Write down 50 things then. Right now, write down 50 things you're going to talk about.
Right.
Because that's once a week.
Yeah, you're right. So don't be afraid to do it once every 2 weeks, once every 3 weeks, maybe once every 10 days or something like that. Whatever your schedule that you can realistically commit to, start with it, and then you'll have a dramatically higher likelihood of actually sticking to it.
And think about whether or not a podcast is really the delivery that you want too, because maybe what you really want is to stream.
Right.
Well, that's an interesting topic. So I love podcasting. Like, I love this format. I think we've evolved a lot where it's just become an open forum.
Yeah, it's easy.
And the podcast takes what it takes. And, you know, we tell people that right away. And, you know, I remember Jackie Cow came on the show and we were like, how long do you have? He's like, I have an hour. And we kept it to the 1 hour. But that's, you know, and then the second time he came on, he was like, let's go. And we did a
Longer.
longer show.
Yeah.
And I would say that the hardest part of an every 2 week show, because we have a lot of guests on our show, is there's a lot of people that ask to come on. But when you're doing a show every 2 weeks, you can get really booked out. I mean, I remember
It's only
it was
20,
probably like the second
whatever.
year.
Yeah.
The second year, I think every week was filled with somebody.
Yeah.
And it was like scheduled months in advance.
Yeah.
And I finally had to say, Nick, we got to do some like back to back.
Yeah. Like prior. Yeah. We got to do more episodes to get people in.
Right. And I would say that was the hardest part.
It's like keeping, as you're getting more like sort of fans and people involved in the show, being able to get people on and keep people involved.
Yeah. I really like that format of having guests.
Yeah, me too. Because obviously you and I can talk forever, but it brings fresh perspective each episode while the hosts keep it, on brand sort of,
Yeah. Well, and we talk about such a broad spectrum of things.
Right.
Like today alone, we talked TV shows, we talked books, we talked video games, we talked Star Wars. I mean, we covered a lot.
Right.
So when you're in that realm, we used to call Dent the resident movie
expert
because he watches all of the movies. And anytime we had a question
and he
about a movie,
retains them too. He
Yeah.
knows
Right.
like every character. And
Yes.
yeah.
Who was our first guest?
It might have been Dent.
Or Doc?
I think it was Doc Sotor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Dr. Gamology now.
And then I remember when Brian from The Bad Feeling came on and he called us charity. He said he was doing his charity for the week coming on the show.
Speaking of on brand, that's pretty on brand for Bad Feeling Podcast.
Yep. Absolutely. And then we started a podcast war.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's crazy. Well, with that, thanks guys. let's listen to some voicemails. All right. So we set out on a mission, and we were hanging out last week or the week before. I don't even remember when it was. And I was like, let's make a voicemail.
Yeah.
And Nick's like, what? And I'm like, let's make a voicemail and see if anybody will call and leave us a message for episode 100. So with that, you guys ready for this ridiculousness?
Yeah.
We're disclaimer. We have nothing to do with these phone calls. We have not listened to them.
There's zero pre-screening.
There's no pre-screening. This is just live.
Bold move, Cotton.
Marcus,
See how that
Marcus,
works out for
I'll tell you what I always say. I blame Marcus.
I do too.
The Marauder did it.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Are those in like order of how they came in?
Yes.
Okay,
this is
perfect.
dating back to last Sunday.
Okay.
Right?
Hello, Marcus and Nick. This is Kogus. Wanted to congratulate you guys on 100 epic episodes of Working Class Nerds. Thanks, guys, for being awesome. And Sateel Sean is and always has been and always will be the best server.
Thank you, Kogus. That's
He's a
fantastic.
he's a great guy.
Yeah, Starforge is the best server, buddy.
Now, you might need to pump the volume up on that one a little bit, and pump the volume on all of them coming so they come through louder. But I heard that, and Kogus is awesome.
Okay.
He is
I can pump the volume in post if need be.
Okay, and he's been on our show. We love Kogus as well, and I met him in person in Chicago for the last live Star Wars celebration that we had. We hung out and had a after party there in Chicago.
We met Kogus in New York.
So it says it's at 100%.
That too.
I don't know how to. I don't know how to crank
that's-
the volume in this.
Okay.
Maybe my Discord output. Hold on.
No.
Yeah, but that'll be our
your
voices
are
too.
good. It's
Okay,
it's
so-
the call volume, but yeah, we'll fix it.
It
in
might
post.
vary between. I'll do it in post.
All right.
Let's keep it rolling.
All right. Here we go. Next one.
Hey guys, this is Nezer. Big hearty congratulations to you guys. 100 most excellent episodes.
Excellent.
And what a long, strange trip it's been. So I started listening to you guys very early on, and what really drew me to the show and got me into it was just how down-to-earth, raw, honest, and passionate you guys are. One really gets a sense of the community, the SWTOR community, the gaming community when listening to the show. You know, listening to you guys is more like a fireside chat, like back in the old days on radio. So obviously, over time, I got a chance to get to know you through Discord, through AIE and the Rage, etc. And sure enough, Marcus, when you and I finally got a chance to meet in person, it was like I knew you forever. Who you are in person is what we get on the show, and that's just awesome. So, guys, awesome job. Here's to the next 100 episodes and beyond. For the Empire.
Thanks, Nezer.
Thanks, Nezer. That was awesome.
Can you imagine doing another 100 episodes?
That is a lot of podcast.
That's 7 years.
I know. Let's keep it going.
I'm going.
Hey, this is Melung.
Oh.
Just wanted to call and congratulate Nick for putting up with Marcus for 100 episodes now. I don't know how you do it because it must be a family thing or whatever. But congratulations, even though Marcus, yes, you do root for the wrong baseball team. Go Yankees. Yankees for life. They're much better than the Red Sox. But once again, congratulations. I've listened to every episode. You guys have got a lot better. Keep rocking.
Sweet.
Oh, thanks, Mal.
Thank you.
Oh,
that was awesome.
Yeah.
It was awesome, except for
Hi,
the
this
Yankees
is
part.
Matt from This Week in Arabesh, and I am just calling to wish Marcus and Nick congratulations on 100 big episodes. That is an amazing milestone, and I am super duper impressed. I mean, that's 100 times that you've said, "And we're back," so that's nothing to slouch at. So congratulations, and here's to 100 more.
Sweet.
Thank you.
Seema Mal is correct. The Yankees do suck.
Mhm.
It's more than 100 times because I've definitely screwed up the and we're back a bunch of times on the episodes.
Well, just tonight we
like
had to start
11
the show
times
over
tonight.
3 times.
Yeah, right. We had 3 intros tonight. I said and we're back twice now, so it's probably like 150 or something.
All right, here we go.
Hey, this is a question for Seema. Seema, as an expert healer, given that there's so many new players in the game, could you share some thoughts on the type of player behaviors that would lead you to want to not heal another player, either temporarily or perhaps permanently? Thanks.
So the first thing is the player who types in ops chat, res please. You know, we know you're dead. If we're not resing you, there's a reason, and it's because we need to res somebody else.
Oh, that is too funny.
That's awesome.
We know you're dead. It's not like it's not a glaring thing to us.
Yeah.
The other one I was going to say is don't stand in front of the Rancor.
No, don't stand. Oh my God, Marcus. Don't stand under his hands. You can stand in front of him. Just don't stand under his hands. And don't spit. Oh my God.
Marcus screwed it up still.
And sometimes you have to stand in front of him. If he's aggroed to you, you need to stand still and stand in front of him. But anyway.
Yes, that's right.
Well,
but the real answer is we heal everybody. It's a funny question, but we do heal everybody.
Right. They take an
but
oath,
I do
a Hippocratic oath.
I imagine it's sort of like DPS. It's like you would never say, "Oh, to get back at someone, I'm going to DPS less."
Right.
So it's sort of like, I don't know. It's part of your nature that you're just doing your part of the job the best you can.
It's in your nature.
And
between
and just-
looking at Pinterest.
Right. And just for the record, I learned what target of target is from Seema from the Rancor. Marcus, you're getting pounded to the ground. Stop moving. You're killing the group. How do you know you're getting hit? Target of target. What's that? Are you kidding me? All right.
That was when you were the new guy.
Yeah.
Like a month
like
ago.
a month ago. All right, next one.
Well, that was really insightful. I really appreciate that call from 2615. Yeah, thanks. Shout out to you as well.
Those are some very flattering compliments.
Yeah, here we go.
Hi, working class nerds. Moxie here, sending congratulations and lots of winks for your 100th episode. Cheers to many more to come.
Thanks, Moxie.
Thank you.
All right. Oh, that's too funny.
Hello, you guys. It's Kitty, Reginald Blackwater. I'm just calling to wish you a happy 100th. Shut up, Mom. No one can hear you in the back to tank. Anyway, you guys are doing a great job. Oh my God. Congratulations on 100 episodes. Goodbye.
Wow.
Thanks, Marcian Rowe.
Marcian Rowe?
Yeah,
Wow.
that was Marcian Rowe's voice.
I am the eye of the tempest.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well done.
Thanks, Kitty.
Kitty, that was fantastic.
It's not his mom in the back to tank, but
It's a random old lady he kidnapped. Oh, sorry, his dad kidnapped.
it's the aunt of the of the two dudes on Naboo. But yeah.
Right.
Mom.
Oh my God.
Like
was very-
shut
that
up,
was
mom.
fantastic. No one can hear you in the back to
And she's
tank.
not actually even in a back to tank, but yeah, okay.
No.
We'll let
Oh
it
my
go.
God. It was a fantastic.
That was still well done. Well,
Yep.
well
Home run,
played.
Kitty.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's funny. All right, next one.
It's a tough act to follow.
Oh my God.
I got to reset my brain here.
Hey, Marcus. Hey, Nick. This is Melody as a cat. Congrats on your 100th episode. That's awesome, guys.
Thanks, Melody.
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate the support.
Yep, here we go.
Welcome, Marcus and Nick. I have been expecting you. This is Werewolf calling to say congratulations on your 100th episode of Working Class Nerds.
Thanks, Werewolf. Oh, still going.
Make the sacrifice. I mean, not the sacrifice. Whatever the opposite of sacrifice is. See you later.
Thanks, Werewolf.
Thanks, Werewolf.
I don't understand completely, but I'm slightly terrified, and I think that's the point.
That
I
was
like
definitely
that.
Palpatine. I like
Yep.
it. Thanks,
I like that
Werewolf.
too.
You're awesome.
Hey, Working Class Nerds. Congrats on your 100th episode from Canada. Woohoo!
Thank you, random Canadian fan.
Hey,
Canada approves.
Canada approves.
We appreciate it.
All right.
Hi, Working Class Nerds. Just wanted to call and say congratulations on your 100th episode from Vemapris, your friendly Canadian neighbor. Love you guys.
Oh, thanks, Vamapris.
There we go.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
100 episodes. You, I warned. Once you start down the dark path, forever will it dominate your destiny. Consume it, we will. In the COVID dark place we find ourselves. And the Working Class Nerds' knowledge lights our way. Always, there are two. No more, no less. A master and an apprentice. You decide.
Where are you
Nick, was that your dad?
Yes, that was my dad. That was incredible.
That wins the internet tonight.
Where'd the lightsaber noise come from?
Wow. Sound
Oh,
effects.
you have a lightsaber
well
in your
played,
room? No.
Well scripted. That was.
You don't have a lightsaber
so
in your room?
good.
No. That was fantastic. I don't have a lightsaber at my house, so he must have had the audio on his phone or something.
Oh, that was
Dude,
so
he's
good.
not that good.
Oh no, he is. He gets creative. When I was leaving to come over, he was like, "Just wait, there's gonna be a bunch." This is probably him. This is probably a second one from him now too.
Marcus, Nick, Batman, just wanted to call to you congratulations on 100 episodes of your podcast. I've been listening all the time.
He's on the phone.
It's only half done. Keep listening.
Oh my god.
He's playing the whole song. Oh my god.
I think
that never gets old.
Oh my god.
That was fantastic.
Oh,
Do you know
I'm
why?
like-
Do you know why he called? Because he's Batman.
Right.
oh my god. I'm borderline crying laughing and sweating all at the same time.
That was yeah.
That's
yeah.
funny.
All right, last one.
Hey, this is Joey Feta. I've been on the podcast once or twice, and I want to take this opportunity to congratulate you guys on episode 100. You've worked so hard, and it's been really fun to see you guys grow. You know, and I always cherish the time that I've had on the podcast, and I get so darn excited every time I'm asked. So you guys got to keep up the good work. You know, it's awesome what you do for your community. And Marcus, your stream channel's blowing up, so all good things down the pipe. What can I say? No information about my favorite information. Keep it up, and I'll talk to you guys episode 200.
Well, that was a nice way to end.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Joey.
Thanks, Feta. Oh my God. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
I wasn't sure what was going to come out of this. And this is what I call podcast gold.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It was a great idea that you had, Marcus, and then you implemented it, and it worked out fantastically.
It's like somebody once said, it's what we do.
And Nick, I got to meet your dad, and we got to go hang out and have a drink.
Oh, yes. He would gladly come out. I'll drag him to the next cantina or something.
That is,
oh my
that
God.
is incredible.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I don't know where he got like the sounds from. That's
Yeah.
Do you think he pulled
He,
it up on the
produced.
TV and found it?
He,
Or maybe
did
the
more
the
production
computer?
for those than went into the rest of this podcast night.
Yeah, literally. Oh my God. No, he probably had it on his iPad, the sounds, and then had his phone in his hand to call in.
It was pretty ingenious, though.
Yeah, did you hear how he's moving the phone away from the sound source too through the Batman song, like the Batman, because I think on TV it would pan to left and right speakers. He's doing that with his phone, moving it around. That detail wasn't lost on me, Dad. I got that. Oh, that was awesome.
Holy shit. We made it.
100 episodes.
Yeah. Thanks, Max and Seema.
Hey,
Thanks,
congratulations,
Marcus and
guys.
Nick.
Yeah.
Congratulations indeed.
Thank you. Tell everybody where they can find you. And the podcast.
AIE-guild.org. That's the best place to find us. Get the Discord there. We're in there. Nick is in there. Marcus is in there. You can ask Seema more questions about why she doesn't heal me. Whatever the case may be. But yeah, come. Yeah. I mean, you want to come find us? Come on Jedi Covenant and come play. Did I say Jedi Covenant? Starforge.
Yes, you did.
Keller's
Starforge.
Void. Roll a
Come
character
with
on
us
Keller's
back in
Void.
time.
What is Keller's Void?
That was what the
server
server was before Jedi Covenant.
Oh, wow. That was before
Yeah.
my time.
We went through two
merges.
server merges.
Yeah.
The funniest part is Jedi Covenant. When I bought the game when it first came out, I picked Jedi Covenant, and then I didn't touch it for 4 or 5 years or whatever it was, and I picked it up, and that's what was there.
Yeah.
The first server I was on was Candrus Ordo.
I think Alexa.
Apparently, Alexa had something to say about that.
Alexa, play gangster rap. So the funny story with that is I'll go into when I'm at a customer's house, and I'll say as I'm leaving, if the customer's really nice, I'll tell Alexa or Google to play edited gangster rap. So then I'll call them later and I'll say, "Oh, did you guys hear any good music?" And they start laughing. They're like, all of a sudden, the Alexa started playing some gangster rap. But you got to make sure you say edited because you never know where that goes.
Right.
So anyway, well, thank you guys so much. You
Thank
guys
you.
made this
Yeah,
awesome.
thank you for having us. It
Yeah.
was awesome, but yeah.
Great job. Great time. I mean, I know you guys are new to it, 3 or 4 months that you've been going now so far.
And finally hit episode 100.
Yeah,
Woo!
Yeah,
And
that's awesome.
Thank you to everybody for sure that's listened to us for 100 episodes. Or even if you're new, thank you for giving us a try.
Thank you.
Later, everyone.
What are you guys talking about in here?
Find out next episode of Working Class Nerds.